Chapter 715. In the next moment, he ignored his injuries and attacked in a frenzy. A terrifying aura gathered and formed a fist that smashed towards Lin Xian. Above the fist was a wolf head formed by spiritual energy. It roared ferociously and carried the aura of a martial soul. This attack was enough to easily kill a first-level venerate. However, Lin Xian did not dodge. He slowly held onto the dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him. The energy in his body roared and surged into the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Lin Xian's heart raced, and he felt as though he was being sucked dry. Feeling the energy leaving his body, Lin Xian did not hesitate and quickly swung the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Buzz! The sword chi was dazzling as though a real dragon was swimming in the void. The terrifying energy split the sky in half. Boom! The real dragon-shaped sword shadow and the wolf head fist collided. The terrifying energy instantly filled the entire space. Light flickered and a storm swept across, drowning everything. The light flickered and the space swayed. A gust of wind came from nowhere and blew away the dust and fog. Lin Xian knelt on one knee with his sword in hand. He was panting and his face was unusually pale. In front of him, the ground was split open, and the terrifying crack extended as far as the eye could see. The aura of the black shirt honorable had disappeared. Lin Xian's mouth twitched. The attack just now was a sword shadow formed by the great dragon sword soul. It was extremely terrifying. However, the energy consumption was even more shocking. Lin Xian was almost sucked dry. He originally thought that the heavenly meteor was the most energy-consuming move. He did not expect it to be so lacking compared to the dragon-shaped sword shadow. He sat down with his legs crossed and wanted to recover. At this moment, a white light flashed and Lin Xian left the 5th level. At the same time, in another illusory space, Morong Qingqing was sweating profusely. Behind her, a human figure gradually disappeared. In front of her was the black shirt honorable who had collapsed. With a flash of white light, she left the 5th level as well. In the outside world, the crowd was in an uproar because they saw the 2 light spots on the 5th level disappear at almost the same time and reappear on the 6th level. They passed. Countless people went crazy. Even the official disciples were stunned and could not believe it. Yanqing Yang's face was gloomy and he was furious. The woman he liked had entered the 6th level with his love rival, which made him feel an indescribable anger. At the same time, he also felt a trace of fear towards Lin Xian. One had to know that the 5th level was the 2nd level of the Venerable Realm, yet the other party had actually been able to break through. This was truly beyond his expectations. However, he wasn't afraid because he had also passed the 5th level back then. Not only that, his cultivation in the Immortal Martial Academy had caused him to grow even stronger. Therefore, he was confident in dealing with Lin Xian. Shen Yaotian was stunned. Impossible, this was impossible. He roared in his heart, unable to accept this fact. This was a huge blow to him. He had entered the 5th level and hadn't persevered for long before coming out. Yet the other party had actually passed. The gap between them was self-evident. For a moment, all kinds of disappointment and frustration welled up in his heart. Shen Yaotian felt his vision darken, and he almost fainted from anger. Tower of Trials, 6th floor. The corner of Lin Xian's mouth twitched, and he smiled helplessly. At the front, 2 second-rank sovereigns stood proudly with cold expressions. Right now, his spirit energy was depleted, and he was also injured. It would be good if he could fight with half of his strength. Moreover, with 2 second-rank sovereigns joining forces, the difficulty was 10 times higher than the 5th level. Even if Lin Xian was at his peak, he wouldn't be able to pass, let alone now that he was heavily injured and exhausted. However, as a swordsman, it wasn't his style to give up without a fight. Therefore, even if he had to bleed to the last drop of blood in this battle, he would still give it his all. With a longsword in hand, Lin Xian walked up step by step. On the other side, Morong Qingqing was also under great threat. Behind her, an illusory figure flickered and emitted a terrifying aura, as if it had crossed time and space from the primordial era. However, the combination of 2 sovereigns was too powerful. Even if Morong Qingqing was extremely powerful, she was still no match for them. However, in the next moment, A strange inscription flashed between her brows, releasing a dazzling light and a heart-palpitating power. That power made the two sovereigns feel uneasy. However, after thinking for a moment, Morong Qingqing finally hid the mysterious inscription and didn't attack again. In the outside world, everyone waited anxiously, their eyes fixed on the 6th level of the Tower of Trials. In the next moment, the two light spots disappeared, followed by a flash of white light. Two figures appeared in the square. They're finally out. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They knew that the two of them had come out, which meant that they had failed the 6th challenge. However, this was already very terrifying. One had to know that the 6th level was guarded by two second-rank sovereigns. If the two of them really succeeded, that would be abnormal. Morong Qingqing's white clothes were whiter than snow. Although her aura was a little chaotic and weak, it couldn't hide her beautiful posture. As for Lin Xian, he immediately sat cross-legged in the square the moment he appeared. His hands formed a seal, as if he had entered some kind of cultivation state. The two figures attracted everyone's attention, especially Morong Qingqing. Most of the male cultivators were looking at her. Morong Qingqing was already used to the burning gazes of the surrounding cultivators. Ever since she was born, she had been surrounded by countless gazes like this. Until now, she had completely ignored them. Perhaps only someone like Lin Xian, who had a normal demeanor and was somewhat resistant, could arouse her interest. Morong Qingqing tilted her head slightly and looked at Lin Xian. Then, a trace of surprise appeared on her beautiful face. Is he about to break through? Sure enough, a powerful aura rose from Lin Xian's body. A huge spirit energy vortex appeared above his head. Countless amounts of spirit energy flowed into Lin Xian's body, like an upside-down galaxy. In the next moment, Lin Xian opened his eyes. His gaze was like two sword rays, vast and mighty, piercing through the void. His body was filled with a powerful force. However, everyone's eyes were filled with doubt, which then turned into shock. This cultivation, how is it possible? The limit of the spirit-detecting realm. Heavens, how is this possible? Everyone was stunned. They didn't think that Lin Xian's cultivation was only at the limit of the spirit-detecting realm. Furthermore, this cultivation had just broken through. Many people's minds went blank. They couldn't believe the facts in front of them. Not only them, but everyone was also stunned. Previously, Lin Xian had used a special method to hide his cultivation. Coupled with the fluctuations of his martial soul, everyone thought that he was a young cultivator who had reached the venerable realm. But now, they realized that Lin Xian's cultivation was only at the peak of the spirit-detecting realm. This kind of cultivation was too ordinary, but he had passed the 5th level of the trial. He even lasted long enough on the 6th level to be teleported out with Morong Qingqing. How is this possible? Everyone felt like their heads were about to explode. Martial soul. He must have a martial soul. He's a fake venerable. Everyone discussed in shock. Cultivators who had condensed a martial soul, but hadn't reached the venerable realm, were called fake venerables. They had seen such venerables before, but no one was as powerful as Lin Xian. Chapter 716. Congratulations, you've broken through again. Morong Qingqing smiled at Lin Xian. This smile stunned everyone, as if the whole world had become incomparably beautiful. It's alright, I was just lucky. Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. Everyone was startled awake. Their hearts were filled with jealousy and envy. They wished they could transform into Lin Xian and chat with Morong Qingqing. Yin Qingyang, Shen Yaotian, and the rest were spitting fire from their eyes. Killing intent surged from their bodies, as they wished they could tear Lin Xian apart. Especially Yin Qingyang. His eyes were abnormally cold as he roared in his heart. Just a fake honored warrior, how dare he snatch my woman? Brat, after entering the academy, he'll teach you how to behave properly. With so many people and elders present, he couldn't do anything to Lin Xian. However, as long as Lin Xian entered the academy, he would have plenty of chances. Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing walked side by side to the edge of the crowd, waiting for the end of the 3rd round. 2 hours later, all the light spots in the Tower of Trials disappeared as everyone was transported out. At this point, the 3 rounds of tests had ended, and the entire entrance exam had come to an end. Those who passed the 3 rounds were in high spirits as they danced with joy because they could finally enter the immortal martial academy. As for the stronger disciples who were ranked at the top, they started to calculate their rankings. What reward will you exchange for this time? Morong Qingqing looked at Lin Xian. Reward? What reward? What's there? Lin Xian didn't understand. You don't know? Morong Qingqing said. The top 10 will all have a reward, and the top 3 will have even more generous rewards. They will probably be rewarded with martial arts. Martial arts, what grade? Lin Xian sighed in his heart. Yu Fei had the ability to gather information, but compared to Morong Qingqing, he was still lacking. It seemed like he still had a long way to go before he could establish his own power. Half-Earth ranked martial arts, but it was passed down from ancient times. Its power isn't any weaker than the current Earth-ranked martial arts. Half-Earth tier martial art. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He didn't expect to receive such a big gift right after entering the academy. Now, he'll announce the rankings of this assessment. Hearing the red-robed old man's words, the surrounding martial artists couldn't help but become excited. The martial artists who had passed the test also pricked up their ears. In fact, they had already estimated the rankings in private. After all, the rankings of the 3 stages were there. No matter how they ranked, the top 3 would still be the same people. The ranking this time is a bit special. There are 2 people in first place. 2 people. Hearing this, everyone trembled and listened carefully. Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing were first in the first 2 stages, and they both lasted until the end of the 3rd stage. Therefore, their rankings are the same. They are both first. Whoosh! Everyone was in an uproar. Even though they had made some calculations in private before, they were still incomparably shocked when the Academy Elder announced it. This was a bit different from their predictions. They thought that Lin Xian would be able to obtain 2nd or 3rd place, but they didn't expect him to be first. They knew of Morong Qingqing's strength and excellence, but this was the first time Lin Xian appeared in front of them. The other party was a fake honorable martial artist. To be able to obtain first place this time was out of everyone's expectations. Humph. Shen Yaotian snorted coldly. His handsome face couldn't be any darker. The 3rd place is Shaoli, the red-robed old man announced again. Since it was a double first place, there was no 2nd place. The 3rd place was obtained by Shaoli, which was well-deserved. After the announcement of the top 3, many people sighed, because the rewards for the top 3 were very generous. Not only were there spirit pills, but there were also some half-earth tier martial arts. That was the most tempting thing. Shen Yaotian didn't obtain the top 3, and was so angry that his body trembled. Firstly, it was because of the pain of losing the half-earth tier martial arts. Furthermore, he felt that he had lost face. One had to know that he came from a king clan, and had always pursued Morong Qingqing. He thought that he was the only one who was worthy of her. But now Lin Xian had surpassed him. Moreover, Morong Qingqing's attitude towards Lin Xian was somewhat ambiguous. This undoubtedly provoked him deeply. Brat, wait until the freshman assembly. I'll let you know how powerful I am. Shen Yaotian gritted his teeth. Next, the red-robed old man announced the rankings of the next few people. Among them, Shen Yaotian was ranked 4th, and the 5th was the youth called Lan Bai who used poison. After the announcement of the rankings, the red-robed old man said again, I'll give you 1 day to deal with various matters. Gather here tomorrow morning. Yes. Everyone was excited and left. Older brother Xian, congratulations. Yu Fei ran over excitedly. He knew that Lin Xian was powerful, but he didn't expect him to obtain first place. Let's go, we'll talk when we get back. Lin Xian greeted Morong Qingqing and Shaoli before leaving with Yu Fei. Instead of returning to the storm courtyard, Lin Xian and Yu Fei went to their new residence in Sky Pool City. It was a small courtyard. Although it wasn't big, it was convenient and quiet. Moreover, buying a courtyard in a place like Sky Pool City was not cheap. After entering the courtyard, Lin Xian had the dark red dragon set up a defensive array to ensure Yu Fei's safety. The dark red dragon was an expert in setting up the array, so he quickly finished setting it up. Those below the venerable realm would not be able to break it. Even a first-level venerable would need to expend some effort to break it. For Yufei it was enough. Following that, Lin Xian took out some medicinal pills and spirit wine that he had refined, as well as some spirit rank cultivation techniques and artifacts, and threw them to Yufei. Right now, you should focus on your cultivation and increase your strength, Lin Xian said. Thank you, Brother Xian. Yufei looked at the things on the ground and was extremely excited. Brother Xian, what else do you need me to do? For missions. First, find out why the War God Palace is sealed. Second, find out the terrain and forces of Skypool City. Third, organize the information about the Azure Red Society. Their headquarters and branches need to be as detailed as possible. Fourth, find out if there are any weapon refining grandmasters in the lower blood realm. If there are, remember the information. These 4 missions were related to his future plans, so Lin Xian handed them to Yufei. Don't worry, Brother Xian. Yufei patted his chest and promised. Lin Xian nodded. I just entered the academy, so I might not come out for a while. So during this period of time, you can only rely on yourself. If there's any trouble, infuse your spirit energy into this jade pendant and you'll know. Lin Xian handed over another jade pendant. This jade pendant was also made by the dark red dragon. There was an information transmission array inside. Once spirit energy was infused, the other party would know. Yufei took it and carefully put it away. Following that, the dark red dragon created an array disk that allowed Yufei to control the array. Alright, Brother Xian. Since you want to develop your power, what do you want to name it? Name? Lin Xian rubbed his chin. Let's call it Dragon Sword Pavilion. He rose up with the great Dragon Sword spirit, so he took this name. Dragon Sword Pavilion, a good name. Yufei clapped his hands. I believe that this name will definitely spread throughout the entire blood realm. The next day, Lin Xian left the courtyard and headed to the plaza of Skypool City. When he arrived, there were already quite a few people in the plaza. There were more than 1,000 people who participated in the exam yesterday, but only 138 people succeeded in the end. The elimination rate was extremely terrifying. Chapter 717. Over 100 young cultivators gathered at the square of Skypool City and waited quietly. Not long after, the space above the square distorted, and an old man slowly appeared. It was the red-robed old man from before. Everyone follow me. Under his lead, everyone quickly set off for the Immortal Martial Academy. Soon they arrived at their destination. Looking ahead, everyone was extremely excited. Lin Xian also took a deep breath and looked ahead with a burning gaze. There were 2 gigantic bronze doors that were 100 feet tall. They were like 2 huge mountains that had stood tall for thousands of years. Lin Xian exclaimed. He had never seen such a majestic door. He could feel a surge of energy and a faint vicissitude aura from it. The red-robed old man struck out a series of seals, and the bronze doors slowly opened. Everyone couldn't help but rush forward. Lin Xian was also excited as he walked towards the bronze doors. He had finally entered the sacred cultivation ground of the Sky Martial Continent. The Immortal Martial Academy was huge, and one couldn't see the end of it. Looking around, there were palaces and pavilions scattered all over the place. Mountains and waterfalls were everywhere. Spiritual trees and spiritual herbs could be seen everywhere. Spiritual birds and spiritual beasts were running around, and they weren't afraid of humans at all. The entire Immortal Martial Academy was like a paradise on earth. It was filled with spiritual energy. Let's go. You are the latest batch of new students, said the red-robed old man. There are new students. Aren't we the only ones? Someone didn't understand. You are only taking the test in Skypool City. The other regions of the Sky Martial Continent also have tests. As long as you pass the tests, you can still enter the Immortal Martial Academy, explained the red-robed old man. After everyone understood the situation, they continued to move forward. Look, what's that? Someone exclaimed. Then everyone looked up. Lin Xian also turned his head curiously. Between the mountains, there was a huge black tortoise crawling there. On its back, there was a black stone tablet that was 100 feet tall. On the stone tablet, there were names that were engraved. What's that? Everyone looked at the majestic scene in shock. Lin Xian squinted his eyes. He saw 3 powerful ancient words on the right side of the black stone tablet. Mystic Sovereign Ranking. That's right. This is the Mystic Sovereign Ranking, the red-robed old man explained. This is a ranking created by the Academy for disciples below the 3rd heaven of the Exalt realm. As long as one enters the Martial Venerate realm, one will have the right to be listed on the list. However, the Mystic Venerate ranking only records the top 100 in the Academy, top 100 under the 3rd heaven of the Venerable realm. Lin Xian was astonished. His current strength was equivalent to that of a 1st heaven Venerable tier peak stage cultivator. He wondered what rank he would be ranked at. Little fellows, if you have the strength, then go all out to fight for the rankings. The red-robed old man smiled and said, because the rankings are related to your spiritual value points. Spiritual value points? Lin Xian was also puzzled. Spiritual value points are very important. We'll talk about the details later. The red-robed elder smiled mysteriously. At the side, Morong Qingqing lightly opened her red lips. It is said that the spiritual value points can be exchanged for all cultivation resources. It can even be exchanged for Earth-rank martial arts and half-Earth-rank treasures. That's why, in the Immortal Martial Academy, other than one's life, spiritual value points are the most important. Exchange for Earth-rank martial arts. Lin Xian was astonished. He knew how precious and powerful Earth-rank martial arts were. He had exchanged his life for Earth-rank martial arts. He did not expect that he could exchange for them here. As expected of the Immortal Martial Academy, it was indeed domineering. How strong are those fellows on the Mystic Venerable ranking? Lin Xian asked again. It is very difficult for ordinary 1st heaven venerables to get on the ranking, unless they are at the peak of the 1st heaven. Morong Qingqing's expression was solemn. It is said that the top 10 are all at the peak of the 2nd heaven of the Venerable realm. Even the number 1 is at the 3rd heaven of the Venerable realm. 3rd heaven? Lin Xian was astonished. There are actually students who have reached the 3rd heaven. How powerful! It was very difficult to advance in the Venerable realm. For example, in the Sand region, an elder of a family was at the 1st heaven of the Venerable realm. It was estimated that a 2nd heaven of the Venerable realm could suppress a region. However, there was actually a 3rd heaven of the Venerable realm here. Moreover, he was a student. This meant that he was not too old and could be very young. Number 1. Lin Xian looked at the Mystic Venerable ranking. He saw that the number 1 name on the black stone tablet was shining with a golden light. Duguout Yin. At that moment, the others also saw this name, and their bodies trembled. It was as if there was a heavy force pressing down on their heads, preventing them from turning over. It seems that I have to enter the Venerable realm as soon as possible. Lin Xian felt a sense of pressure. The crowd left and followed the red-robed elder. However, they all had a common goal in their hearts, which was the Mystic Venerable ranking. Under the red-robed elder's lead, they arrived in front of a majestic palace. The palace was grand and majestic like a giant city. Countless obscure lights flickered around it, and the power it unintentionally emitted caused Lin Xian and the rest to tremble. What a terrifying formation! Lin Xian exclaimed. His soul power was outstanding, so he could feel the terror within. This palace was probably very important. Otherwise, it would be impossible to set up such a powerful formation. Lin Xian guessed. The 4 spirits demon extermination formation. I didn't expect it to be such a formation. The dark red dragon exclaimed. You know it? Lin Xian asked through voice transmission. Of course. This formation is extremely terrifying. Even a king would not dare to barge in. The dark red dragon said. It can trap a king. Lin Xian was shocked. He knew that the formation was powerful, but he did not expect it to be this powerful. The red-robed elder brought Lin Xian and the others to the front of the palace. There were already many people gathered there. Lin Xian looked around and realized that there were 3 teams led by 3 elders. Are these the other new students? Lin Xian guessed. Indeed, he guessed correctly. The new students who had arrived first turned around and looked at Lin Xian and the others with sharp gazes. It seemed that after learning about the Mystic Venerable ranking, these fellows' inner competitiveness and arrogance had been stimulated. Most of them looked at Morong Qingqing. They did not hide the passion in their eyes. However, when they saw Lin Xian beside her, they frowned. A few of them even snorted coldly with a hint of warning in their eyes. Lin Xian smiled bitterly. Can you pretend that you don't know me? Why? Morong Qingqing tilted her head and acted like a little girl. Are you afraid of them? This woman. Lin Xian rubbed his temples. Was she trying to provoke those people? Indeed, when they saw Morong Qingqing acting so intimately with Lin Xian, the eyes of the young men opposite them were spitting fire. The female students were so angry that they rolled their eyes. Their hearts were filled with jealousy. Among them, a young girl wearing fiery red leather armor stared at Morong Qingqing. Her eyes were filled with a fighting spirit that was not inferior to a man's. There was a layer of crimson glaze on her body. Chapter 7:18. That girl had long legs, a slim waist and a voluptuous figure. She was wearing a fiery red leather armor that accentuated her figure. Otherwise, the girl would still have a delicate and beautiful face. Her fiery red hair fluttered in the wind, giving her an indescribable fiery aura. Morong Qingqing was quiet and elegant, like a fairy. As for the girl, she was hot all over, brimming with a youthful aura. At this moment, other than looking at Morong Qingqing, all the male disciples were looking at the fiery red girl. Lin Xian looked carefully and discovered that not only was the girl's appearance and figure top-notch, but her aura was also surging. She had definitely reached the supremacy realm. Moreover, from the looks of it, she was also an expert in the supremacy realm. She was definitely the darling of heaven and earth. She's called Dongfang Phoenix. She's very strong and comes from the Dongfang clan. She was born with the ability to control fire. Dongfang clan? Yes, a hidden king clan. Morong Qingqing explained. Hiss. Lin Xian took a deep breath. Another king clan. It seemed like these geniuses had extraordinary backgrounds. For such characters to come to the Immortal Martial Academy, it was enough to show how powerful and mysterious the Immortal Martial Academy was. From afar, the girl called Dongfang Phoenix felt Lin Xian's gaze and instantly snorted. Her beautiful eyes were filled with anger as she fiercely glared back at him. Ugh! Lin Xian sweated. She was indeed hot-tempered. As if she felt Lin Xian's aura, Dongfang Phoenix revealed a trace of disdain and quickly shifted her gaze to Morong Qingqing. She had long heard of Morong Qingqing's reputation, but she was unconvinced. So now that they met, she felt a strong sense of enmity. Morong Qingqing smiled indifferently, then continued to whisper to Lin Xian. If he guessed correctly, Dongfang Phoenix was the first in that group. As for the other two groups, the one on the left was called Huang Lei, and the one on the right was called Zhou Su. Both of them were very strong and couldn't be underestimated. Lin Xian looked towards the direction of the voice and saw a robust young man standing in the group on the left. His strong muscles were like rocks full of sharp edges. From afar, it didn't seem like a person, but a mountain, a huge mountain. It gave off a boundless sense of oppression. In the group on the right, there was a young man in a black robe. He stood with his hands behind his back and his chin slightly raised. He looked at the sky, as if he did not care about anyone. Lin Xian felt that the person looked very familiar, but he couldn't recall who it was. The young man suddenly turned his head and stared at Lin Xian, with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. Then he seemed to have thought of something. It's you. You know me? Lin Xian asked. Of course, my younger sister lost to you back then. This time, I will avenge her. The black-robed young man's voice was cold. He looked at Lin Xian with hostility. Sister? Lin Xian was puzzled. He couldn't recall, but her aura was very familiar. The peak of the spirit-detecting realm? Zhou Su was stunned for a moment before he sneered in disdain. It seems like you haven't been doing well these past few years. I really don't know how my sister lost to someone like you. Hearing this, the others looked at Lin Xian with disdain and mockery in their eyes. After all, the peak of cultivation was nothing here. Their bodies weren't even considered the lowest level. This guy is so weak. How did he get in? Could he have gotten in through some back door? The cultivators of the other three groups discussed. However, no one in Lin Xian's group dared to laugh because they had witnessed Lin Xian's strength with their own eyes. Lin Xian frowned slightly. Were these people idiots? They only looked at the surface cultivation? Well, know if I'm strong or not after a battle. Who wants to try? Lin Xian's gaze swept across with a sharp gaze. He wasn't someone who would back down. Moreover, he had no intention of backing down after coming here. Lin Xian's gaze carried a trace of the Sword Soul's aura. It was so sharp that it almost cut open the void. At this moment, the cultivators who were swept by his gaze felt their hearts tremble, and a sense of terror. How is this possible? I'm actually afraid? What a terrifying gaze. Is this guy hiding his strength? Many people were terrified and didn't dare to provoke him. Zhou was also surprised. This gaze was not a threat to him. However, the aura of the Sword Soul in it made him wary. Hiding his strength. Interesting, but that's all. Zhou looked down. You'll know if it's interesting after you try. Lin Xian took a step forward, and his aura suddenly changed. An unusually sharp aura gushed out, causing the surrounding air to surge and the sky to tremble. It was as if it was cut open by a peerless divine sword. Suddenly, everyone was stunned. Everyone widened their eyes and looked at the scene in disbelief. Lin Xian's aura was too sharp and they couldn't bear it. Even Dongfang Phoenix was surprised. Her beautiful eyes turned and stared at Lin Xian. This aura was enough to threaten her. It seems that I've underestimated him. Feeling Lin Xian's aura, Zhou's face darkened. His gaze was cold as he looked ahead. No one dared to provoke him like this. Ding! 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 Sparks collided in the air, causing ripples in the air. Each ripple contained a terrifying killing intent. I'm curious. What kind of strength do you have to be so arrogant? The two of them were like two divine swords facing each other. Countless tiny sword chi surged, forming a terrifying force field, making this place extremely dangerous. Everyone stop! The red-robed old man shouted. With a wave of his sleeve, the formless sword chi force field was broken. Fighting is forbidden in front of the True Spirit Hall. If you want to fight, the freshman competition is your battlefield. The freshman competition. Many people pricked up their ears and became excited. This was definitely a good opportunity to show off in the Immortal Martial Academy. Very well, I'll let you be arrogant for a while. Wait until the freshman competition. You'll know how stupid you are. Lin Xian retracted his aura. You're courting death. Zhou's face darkened. This was what he should have said. Strength isn't something you can say. When the time comes, it'll let you know what it means to be strong. Alright, now follow me into the True Spirit Hall. The red-robed old man said. After that, he and the other three elders opened the door of the True Spirit Hall. Everyone followed behind cautiously. This time, we came to the True Spirit Hall to let you all broaden your horizons. At the same time, we'll make Immortal Martial Spirit tablets for you all to become true members of the Immortal Martial Academy. After that, the four elders entered the hall and took out a crystal jade tablet that was half the size of a palm and threw it into the air. Everyone one tablet. Drip your blood essence and carve your soul imprint. Looking at the tablet that was like a rain of light, everyone started to move. Lin Xian grabbed one of the tablets and started to operate according to the rules. Drip his blood essence and carve his soul imprint. Soon, the Immortal Martial tablet emitted light and flew toward Lin Xian. Grabbing the tablet, Lin Xian felt as though he was one with it. Chapter 719. With the Immortal Martial Spirit tablet, he would be an official disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy from now on. Lin Xian noticed that the others were studying the spirit tablet in their hands, so he curiously poured his spirit energy into it. Immediately, the Immortal Martial Spirit tablet bloomed with light, forming a small screen of light in the air. Above the light screen, there were all sorts of words and images. Lin Xian raised his head and looked. Surging Wave Sword Technique, Water Attribute Sword Technique. Sword Chi is like the waves of the sea, rolling back the 9 heavens. Top Spirit Rank Cultivation Technique. Exchange for Spirit Value Points, 5,000 Spirit Value Points. Roaring Flame Saber, High-Grade Spirit Rank Artifact, can increase fire attribute damage by 2 times. Has a continuous burning effect. Exchange for Spirit Value Points, 7,000 Spirit Value Points. Purple Spirit Sand, as heavy as 10,000 kilograms, can increase the effect of refining, and increase the attack power of the artifact. Exchange for spirit value points, 10,000 spirit value points. It was densely packed with all sorts of martial arts, cultivation techniques, artifacts, and so on. Lin Xian took a deep breath. So this was the use of spirit value points. It could be exchanged for all cultivation resources. He carefully looked at the light screen and found that there were many things on it, from low to high, all the way down. The things on the top were of a lower level. Lin Xian scrolled down, and his pupils suddenly constricted. Earth rank martial art, Heavenly Moon Evil Shadow Art, Earth rank cultivation technique. Exchange for spirit value points, 5 million. 5 million? Lin Xian was stunned. From the previous comparison, he knew how terrifying 5 million spirit value points was. Probably not many people could exchange for it. However, putting an Earth rank martial art here was a naked temptation, because everyone knew how precious and terrifying an Earth rank martial art was. Those who had strength would go all out to gather spiritual value points. At this moment, the surrounding martial artists also noticed this situation and cried out in alarm. Although they did not have a single spirit value point, this did not stop their enthusiasm and fantasies. I wonder how many spirit value points a half-Earth rank martial art is? Lin Xian suddenly remembered that the reward for the top 3 was a half-Earth rank martial art. Following that, he quickly searched on the light screen. Found it Demon Slayer Art, half-Earth rank martial art. Exchange for spirit value points, 300,000. Although it was not as good as an Earth rank martial art, it was still a terrifying number. Seeing everyone's excited expressions, the 4 elders smiled. This was the effect they wanted. Alright, I don't think I need to explain the use of spiritual value points. All of you should know, right? The red-robed elder laughed. Elder, how do we obtain spiritual value points? Everyone asked anxiously. There are many ways to obtain spiritual value points. For example, doing academy missions, killing demonic beasts, getting on the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard, and so on. The Academy Handbook will be given to you when the time comes. It's very detailed. Now, I will give you the corresponding spiritual value points according to your rankings in the assessment. The assessment rankings also have spiritual value points? Everyone was excited. Of course, it's not just the ranking in the assessment. In the future, there will be a ranking in every competition. Furthermore, the higher the ranking, the higher the spiritual value. There are even special rewards for the top 3. For example, this time, the top 3 in the assessment will receive a half-Earth tier martial art for free. Half-Earth tier martial art. Everyone's eyes turned red as their breathing quickened. They had just learned from the screen that a half-Earth rank martial art was worth 300,000 spiritual value points. If he were to do quests, he had no idea when he would be able to complete them. Damn it, I have to work hard to cultivate. No, I have to work hard to get a good ranking in the freshman assembly. Everyone was excited. The red-robed elder looked at everyone's excited faces and waved his sleeve, distributing the spiritual value points. Immediately, everyone looked at it excitedly. Lin Xian also looked down and saw that the number behind his spirit tablet began to change. In the end, it became 3,000. 3,000 spiritual value points. This was the reward for the first place in the assessment. Damn, I can't buy anything. Lin Xian muttered. The cheapest item on the list was 5,000 spiritual value points. His 3,000 spiritual value points were not enough. The first place was 3,000 spiritual value points, and the other spiritual value points decreased in succession. If you want good things, then work hard to cultivate, the red-robed elder said. Here, as long as you have enough spiritual value points, you can exchange for anything you want. Now the top 3 would receive a half-Earth tier martial art. The red-robed elder waved his hand, and an even bigger and more resplendent light appeared above the main hall. The information on it was similar to the Jade token, but there were more and more comprehensive. There were a total of 4 teams, which meant that 12 people could receive a half-Earth tier martial art. This Immortal Martial Academy was really generous. However, Lin Xian was relieved. It was just learning. The Immortal Martial Academy wouldn't lose anything, and it could even increase the sense of belonging to the academy. Lin Xian saw even more high-grade martial arts and some rare treasures on the light screen in the sky. If these things were placed in the outside world, each of them would cause a huge commotion, enough to make everyone go crazy. This was also why the other powers of the Blood Realm had wanted to invade the Immortal Martial Academy many times. Fortunately, the Immortal Martial Academy was strong enough to intimidate the strong enemies. Moreover, the Immortal Martial Academy had been around for thousands of years. Countless experts had walked out from here, and after they left, they were all overlords. Although they usually didn't have much, if the Immortal Martial Academy was in trouble, these people would definitely come back to help. Therefore, not only was the Immortal Martial Academy powerful, but they also had a group of powerful helpers. This was the reason why they could stand tall in the Blood Realm and prosper for so long. Suddenly, the dark red dragon in the demonic beast pouch became excited. "Kid, dragon blood, dragon blood!" Hearing the dark red dragon's transmission, Lin Xian quickly looked over. At the bottom of the light screen, there were a few rows of words. 8-clawed tyrant dragon blood essence, heavenly ranking divine beast blood essence. It has the ability to seize the fortune of heaven and earth, and contains powerful energy. When used by martial artists, it can change one's physique, at least king realm. If the amount of blood essence is sufficient, there is a certain chance of forming a half-dragon body. Hiss! After Lin Xian saw it, he sucked in a breath of cold air. As expected of a divine beast blood essence so powerful, a half-dragon body, Lin Xian guessed that it wouldn't lose to a king realm physique. "Kid, get it, you must get it!" The dark red dragon shouted. "With it I can recover my dragon essence in advance." It was too excited. This 8-clawed tyrant dragon was also a dragon like itself. The blood essence would be extremely useful to it. Lin Xian exclaimed in surprise. After he looked at the price, the corner of his mouth twitched. Spiritual value points 8 million. "Kid, if you can get it, I will do anything." The dark red dragon was anxious. "You will do anything?" Lin Xian became spirited. This ruffian dragon was extremely cunning. Normally, when it did things, it would be careless and not use its full strength. Now that it was willing to use its full strength, it was definitely a good thing. It seemed like this ruffian dragon was really anxious. "Don't worry, I will definitely get it for you," Lin Xian said. However, 8 million spiritual value points is a sky-high price. It will probably take a long time. "Okay, during this time, I will do my best to help you." After the two finished their discussion, the voice of the red-robed old man sounded again. "You kids quickly choose a half-earth rank martial art." Chapter 720. Lin Xian began to choose a martial arts cultivation technique. He had an earth rank martial art for movement, so he did not need it for the time being. He also had the red lotus armor for defense, so he focused on attacking. 4-season sword technique, this is it. Soon Lin Xian chose his target. 4-season sword technique was a half-earth rank martial art. It had 4 different attacking styles of spring, summer, autumn and winter. It was strange and varied, and its attacks were powerful. After Lin Xian, the others quickly made their choices as well. Morong Qingqing chose the falling flower sword palm, Dongfang Fenghuang chose the 10,000 flame seal, and Lin Xian did not look at the others carefully. After choosing, the red-robed elder gave everyone a jade slip with a half-earth rank martial art copied inside. Then he gave out a scroll of academy rules, which recorded in detail how to obtain spiritual value points. The next step was to arrange the accommodation. The red-robed elder and the other 4 elders brought Lin Xian and the others out of the True Spirit Hall and arrived at the square outside the hall. Then, several figures flew over from the horizon. Whoosh! 6 figures landed. There were men and women, and they all looked middle-aged. As for their exact age, it was unknown. The 6 of them landed on the square and began to distribute the disciples. More than 400 disciples were evenly distributed to the 6 middle-aged mentors. Among them, Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing were placed together. This made countless male students jealous. The mentor in charge of Lin Xian and the others was a middle-aged man with a square face. He said in a deep voice, "Follow me." Immediately, dozens of figures stood up and followed behind the square-faced middle-aged man. flying into the depths of the academy. After passing through the halls, Lin Xian and the others stopped at a place with beautiful scenery. This is your accommodation area. My name is Guozheng, you can call me Mentor Gua. The middle-aged man said. Lin Xian looked around. The surroundings were lush, and there were mountains and rivers in the distance. In front of him was a courtyard. It was quiet and comfortable, very suitable for living. Moreover, Lin Xian's eyes widened. He realized that the spiritual energy here was very dense, much stronger than outside. That's right, there's a spirit gathering array here. Seeing that Lin Xian had discovered something, the middle-aged instructor smiled and said, Of course, this is only the most ordinary spirit gathering array. If you want a higher-level spirit gathering array, you will need your spiritual value points. There's something even better? Lin Xian was surprised. This is already much better than the outside world. What's even better? Thinking of this, his heart burned with passion. The others were equally excited. Cultivating in a place like this would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. However, Instructor Gua's next sentence extinguished everyone's enthusiasm. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. You have to pay to live in a house. Starting from here, the deeper you go, the denser the spiritual qi is. Of course, the more expensive it is. 500 spiritual value points for a month outside, 1,000 spiritual value points for a month in the middle, and 2,000 spiritual value points for a month inside. So expensive. Everyone cried out in alarm. Many people's faces darkened, because they had just arrived at the academy. The spiritual value points in their hands were the rewards for ranking in the examination. Those students who were ranked at the bottom did not even have 500 spiritual value points in their hands. They probably could not even afford to live in the outermost courtyard. Seeing the embarrassed looks of the newcomers, Instructor Gua smiled. Since you guys have just arrived, you can owe the first month's rent and pay it next month. Alright, you can choose now. Everyone's expression was solemn, as if they were facing a great enemy. The courtyard inside was good, but 2,000 spiritual value points for a month was really a sky-high price. Although they could pay it later, it did not mean that they could not pay it at all. Everyone thought about it, and decided to live in the outermost courtyard first. They would wait until it was stable before considering the house inside. Where do you live? Morong Qingqing asked. Inside. Lin Xian replied. He had 3,000 spiritual value points in his hands, which was enough for the first month. Moreover, he believed that with his strength, he should be able to earn enough spiritual value points. Moreover, the spiritual qi here was indeed not bad. It could speed up his cultivation. Only when his cultivation reached the venerable realm would Lin Xian have confidence in his heart. After all, there were too many monsters in the Immortal Martial Academy. Oh, go to. Seeing that Lin Xian had chosen the inside, Morong Qingqing followed. Sigh. I'm so envious to have a beauty accompanying me. Many people were jealous, but they knew that Lin Xian really had strength. They could not be envious. If they wanted to achieve what they wanted, they could only work hard to cultivate and increase their strength. Shaoli chose the courtyard in the middle. Shen Yaotian stared at the backs of Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing, his eyes burning with anger. However, when he saw the spiritual value points in his hand, his face immediately darkened. In the end, he could only choose the courtyard in the middle. Walking on the small path paved with gravel, Lin Xian felt that the spiritual qi was getting denser and denser, and his mood was great. The 2,000 spiritual value points were worth it. How good would it be if I could master this kind of spirit gathering array? Lin Xian envied. When the time comes, when I establish the Dragon Sword Pavilion, I will get 100 spirit gathering arrays. Bah! The dark red divine dragon looked down on him and said, What do you think this is? Cabbage? This kind of exquisite spirit array is not something that an ordinary person can set up. Don't I have you? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Aren't you known as a formation master? This spirit gathering array shouldn't be difficult for you, right? If it was at its peak, it would be a piece of cake. But now it's really difficult. The dark red divine dragon drooped his head. It's fine, there's no rush. You should first understand the spirit gathering array here. I'll think of a way to increase your strength. Lin Xian frowned. What are you thinking about? Seeing that Lin Xian did not speak, but his expression kept changing, Morong Qingqing asked curiously. Ah, no. I'm just amazed by this powerful and magical spirit gathering array. You mean this? As far as I know, this is only an ordinary spirit gathering array. There are intermediate and advanced spirit gathering arrays above this. Only those are considered good. There's more. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. This was truly an eye-opener. Alright, don't be so serious. If you join the Morong family, all of this will be nothing to you. Morong Qingqing tempted. Will you consider it? This girl is at it again. Lin Xian was helpless. Am I that good? Morong Qingqing tilted her head and looked at him. Although you're not the strongest, you're the most special martial artist I've ever seen. I have a feeling that your future achievements will be limitless. So I have to make the most of it now. Are you sure? Lin Xian was surprised. Don't underestimate a woman's sixth sense. Morong Qingqing was very confident. And all the things you've done have shown that you're indeed very special. How about this? Why don't we make a bet? Lin Xian saw that he could not escape, so he came up with an idea. What? Let's see who gets first place on the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. If it's you, then I'll join you unconditionally. If I get first place, then don't mention this again. If anyone else was present, they would definitely go crazy. Lin Xian was a new student who had not even reached the martial venerable realm, but he was actually thinking about getting first place on the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard. Moreover, he was betting on getting first place. This was a madman. It was evening. The setting sun shone through the layers of leaves, forming spots of light that scattered on Lin Xian's face, as if he was covered in a layer of radiance. Chapter 721. The contents of the bet surprised Morong Qingqing. She did not expect Lin Xian to be so ambitious. Number 1 on the mysterious sovereign leaderboard. Alright, I'll bet with you. Morong Qingqing smiled and said, You're very confident, but this time, I'll definitely win. Not necessarily. The corner of Lin Xian's mouth curled up slightly. After that, the two of them separated and entered their respective courtyards. Although it was said that they were going to their own courtyards, in reality, the two of them were next to each other. This made Lin Xian feel helpless, and he could only accept it in the end. After entering the courtyard, Lin Xian casually set up a defensive formation. Although this was an academy, his years of battle experience reminded him that it was better to be careful. At least he would be able to obtain more time. Lin Xian was not in a hurry to cultivate. Instead, he took out the scroll of the academy's rules. According to the red-robed elder, it recorded the method to obtain spiritual value points. In this place where even living in a house required spiritual value points, one had to master the method to earn spiritual value points. Otherwise, one would probably live a miserable life. After that, Lin Xian had a rough understanding of the situation. There were many ways to obtain spiritual value points. Among them, there were two most common methods. One was to complete the missions issued by the academy. If one's cultivation increased, one would automatically obtain spiritual value points. Other than that, there were many other methods. Lin Xian looked at it. There were all kinds of methods. One of them was to donate cultivation techniques and treasures. In other words, the students would hand over their cultivation techniques to the academy, and the academy would give out the corresponding spiritual value points, according to the level of the cultivation technique. This method was feasible, but no one would donate their core cultivation technique. However, the cultivation techniques obtained outside could be handed over. Hand over cultivation techniques? Lin Xian rubbed his chin. He had quite a few in his hands. Among them, there were a few half-earth rank martial arts that he had obtained from killing the Venerable of the Divine Bird Palace. Should I hand them over? Lin Xian frowned. The Immortal Martial Academy was famous in the Tianwu continent. There should be people from the Divine Bird Palace in the academy. If he was discovered, it would not be good. Moreover, he did not know the relationship between the Immortal Martial Academy and the major powers, so it was better to be careful. Forget it. Let's look at other methods. Lin Xian shook his head. He was not worried about finding a way to solve this problem, because 3 months later, there would be a large-scale auction in Wind-Seeking City. In that kind of place, no one cared about the origin of the cultivation method. "I'll cultivate first, then I'll go and accept missions." Lin Xian made his decision. Then, he put away the academy's rules and took out the 4 seasons sword technique. This was a set of half-earth tier martial arts. It was divided into 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Each season had a different style. According to what was mentioned above, if he could pair it with 4 different types of concepts, he would be able to display the might of the 4 seasons sword technique to the maximum. At that time, when the 4 types of concepts were combined, the might of the 4 seasons sword technique would not be inferior to a true earth-rank martial technique. 4 concepts. This required a very high level of comprehension. It could be said that the 4 seasons sword technique was extremely difficult. The reason why Lin Xian had chosen this sword technique was because of this unique characteristic. He had grasped many kinds of concepts, so it was likely that he would be able to grasp the 4 seasons sword technique. The spring sword was a continuous and meticulous sword technique, endlessly growing and multiplying, bringing with it powerful vitality. The sword of summer was scorching hot and exuberant, carrying with it a powerful force. The sword of autumn was cold and austere, carrying with it a sense of nirvana. The sword of winter was cold and bone-piercing, carrying with it a sense of destruction amidst the violence. These 4 sword techniques each contained their own sword techniques and sword moves. It could be said that the 4 seasons sword technique was extremely vast. Lin Xian currently grasped the 3 natural concepts of wind, thunder, and fire. His strongest was the sword intent, which had already formed the sword soul. It could be said that it was the foundation of the sword technique. Other than that, there was also the sword of nirvana and the sword of slaughter. These 2 killer moves could evolve the concept of nirvana and slaughter, which were perfect for the autumn sword and winter sword. As for the spring sword, it was similar to his longevity secret, endlessly growing and multiplying. Other than that, the concept of wind could be used in any sword technique. For example, the spring wind, the summer wind, the cold wind, and the winter wind. If used properly, it could be said to have endless wonderful uses. It seemed that he really needed to study it carefully. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. He decided to start with the concept of wind. He was completely immersed in the 4 seasons sword technique, and completely forgot about the time. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. On this day, the defensive formation in the courtyard fluctuated, waking Lin Xian up. "Brat, your lover is here to look for you." The dark red divine dragon had a wretched look on his face. Lin Xian rolled his eyes, kept the 4 seasons sword technique, and walked outside. As expected, Morong Qingqing was standing outside the courtyard. "You finally came out. I've never seen someone cultivate like this." Morong Qingqing grumbled. "You're really crazy." Lin Xian scratched his head. The main thing was that the 4 seasons sword technique was too powerful, causing him to be a little obsessed. "Why are you looking for me?" "The mission is here. I came to inform you," Morong Qingqing said. After hearing that, Lin Xian slapped his head. He had almost forgotten about this matter. There were 2 types of missions in the Immortal Martial Academy. The first type was the compulsory missions, which meant that they had to be done. The difficulty of these missions wasn't too high, and they were only given once a month. The other type was the autonomous missions, which were given out by the Immortal Martial Academy, and the students could choose for themselves. The difficulty of these missions was different, and of course the spiritual value points were also different. And today was the day that the missions were given out. "Let's go to the mission hall." The 2 of them walked side by side towards the mission hall. At this moment, many students had already gathered in front of the mission hall. Most of them were new students. Because the older students had already grasped the mission method, they normally wouldn't appear together with the new students. The appearance of Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing caused quite a stir. "My goddess is finally here." Many people's eyes lit up. That brat. Fuck. Since when did they get together? Many people saw Lin Xian beside Morong Qingqing, and instantly, they revealed murderous gazes. Lin Xian laughed bitterly. I guess I'm going to become the public enemy of the boys soon. You should be content. Others can't even get this treatment even if they want it. Morong Qingqing was in a good mood. Shen Yaotian looked at this scene, and his face was terrifyingly dark. However, he didn't have enough strength now, so he could only endure it. However, there were some who couldn't endure it, especially Yan Qingyang, whose gaze could kill. Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing came to the crowd. They first received the compulsory missions of the academy, then looked at the crystal stone tablet in front of them. The stone tablet was 100 feet tall, and it emitted a bright light. Missions were written on it. Which one are you going to do? Morong Qingqing asked. My basic mission is to collect 5 inner cores of the blood flame rats, so I will take on missions near the forest. Lin Xian thought. The blood flame rats were 9th-ranked demonic beasts, and they usually lived in the dark areas of the forest. Therefore, Lin Xian was looking for missions near the forest. At this moment, Yan Qingyang walked over. He looked at Morong Qingqing, and his eyes shone with confidence. Coupled with his handsome face, he was indeed able to charm people. Chapter 722. Yan Qingyang came to Morong Qingqing's side in a flirtatious manner, attracting the screams of countless female disciples. However, this did not arouse any affection from Morong Qingqing. She politely shook her head and rejected him. It seems like you still don't know who I am. I'm Yan Qingyang, a student from the previous batch. At the same time, I'm also the vice president of Daoling Association. Yan Qingqing was very confident. He believed that as long as he mentioned the name of Daoling Association, she would be surprised. However, he was still wrong. Morong Qingqing did not have any reaction, although she knew the strength of Daoling Association. Yan Qingyang's face darkened when he saw that Morong Qingqing did not move. He could not vent his anger on Morong Qingqing, so he stared at Lin Xian, who was beside her. Kid, if you know what's good for you, get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Yan Qingyang transmitted his voice. Lin Xian was immediately displeased. You can't blame others for not being able to get a girl? Moreover, Yan Qingyang's superior attitude disgusted him. Therefore, Lin Xian ignored Yan Qingyang's warning and asked, Are you done choosing? If you're done, then leave. The flies here are too noisy. Everyone was stunned and turned their heads to look. They had all seen what happened earlier, but no one dared to say anything. After all, Yan Qingyang was a powerful senior. Moreover, he had Daoling Association behind him. Such a person was not someone they could afford to offend. However, Lin Xian, a new student, actually called Yan Qingyang a fly. That was simply courting death. Kid, what did you say? Yan Qingyang was furious on the spot. I said there are flies here. Why are you so anxious? Lin Xian sneered. Are you a fly? That's ridiculous. Hearing that, Yan Qingyang's eyes darkened as he stared at Lin Xian. A cold and terrifying aura filled the air and shrouded the surroundings. At the same time, a few powerful martial artists walked over. Those people's aura had reached the honorable realm. Lin Xian squinted his eyes. The great dragon sword soul in his body was ready to attack. He was not looking for trouble, but the other party was too annoying. They actually treated him like a soft persimmon. If he didn't fight back, who knew what these guys would do? Moreover, Lin Xian had long since sensed the hostility and murderous intent from the other party. They were enemies sooner or later, so Lin Xian would not allow himself to be bullied. I've made my choice. Let's go, Morong Qingqing said. She saw that the other party had more people, and was worried that Lin Xian would be at a disadvantage. Lin Xian glanced at Yan Qingyang and the rest before shrugging his shoulders. Alright, I don't like being surrounded by flies either. Then he turned around and left with Morong Qingqing. This brat is courting death. Several warriors rushed over with murderous looks on their faces. Brother Yang, I'll go teach him a lesson. One of the young men gritted his teeth and said, Yes, let him know the power of our Daoling Association. The others agreed. All right. You be careful. Although the other party is a new student, he has also passed the 5th level of the Tower of Trials, Yan Qingyang said solemnly. Don't worry, Brother Yang. It's not like you don't know my strength. I passed the 5th level of the Tower of Trials half a year ago. The young man laughed. I'll let him know that as a new student, He has to tuck his tail between his legs. His body swayed and disappeared from the spot like a wisp of green smoke. Dowling Association? With them taking action, that brat with the surname Lin is in for it. Shen Yaotian sneered in his heart when he saw this. Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing left the mission hall and headed out of the college. I'm leaving. With your strength, you shouldn't be in any danger. Lin Xian waved his hand. Be careful. I'm worried that those people will find trouble with you. Morong Qingqing said seriously. You mean those flies? Don't underestimate them. They're from the Dowling Association. What's the Dowling Association? Lin Xian asked. There are many disciples in the college. Naturally, many societies have formed. The Dowling Association is one of the stronger ones. Moreover, Yin Qingyang can't be underestimated either. He's on the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. Dowling Association Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. I got it. Lin Xian was on his guard. I'm guessing that Yin Qingyang won't make a move easily. After all, his status is different. However, I can't be sure about the others, Morong Qingqing said. I got it. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Lin Xian waved his hand and turned to fly out of the Celestial Martial Arts Academy. Morong Qingqing's mission was different from his, so the two of them had to carry it out separately. This time, Lin Xian took another path. After exiting the Celestial Martial Arts Academy, he arrived at a vast forest not long after. The mountain range stretched for tens of thousands of miles, and he couldn't see the end of it. Lin Xian used his movement technique and entered the vast forest. With a flash, a map appeared in his hand. The Academy's mission had a notification. Therefore, as long as one's strength wasn't too bad, they could usually complete it. Lin Xian looked at the mission information. The forest he was in belonged to the Black Deity Mountain Range. It was a primitive forest. The target of his mission, the Blood Flame Rat, was a type of 9th-ranked demonic beast. It was equivalent to a human martial artist at the peak of the spirit-detecting realm. However, as demonic beasts, they had an innate advantage. Therefore, their strength was slightly stronger. It was equivalent to a half-step honorable realm martial artist. This type of demonic beast was bloodthirsty, dark, and liked to live in groups. Therefore, it was troublesome to deal with them. Let's take a look first. Lin Xian kept the mission information and increased his speed. He stood on top of a tree and jumped continuously. Every jump was 100 feet. At the same time, he used his soul power to search. At the same time, far behind him, there was a wave of black smoke that was following him cautiously. It was silent and couldn't be detected. An hour later, Lin Xian's face lit up with joy. His body sank down like a giant mountain. He finally found the Blood Flame Rat. Whoosh! Like a feather, Lin Xian landed lightly. There was a group of Blood Flame Rats in front of him. There were about 50 of them. Lin Xian used his soul power to gather information. And there are other people? Lin Xian was surprised. He realized that there were other martial artists in other directions. However, they didn't seem to be from the Immortal Martial Academy. They should be people from other forces. Lin Xian didn't move. He just observed silently. In the distance, 3 figures were pacing back and forth. 2 of them were middle-aged martial artists. One was an honorable realm martial artist, while the other was a half-step honorable realm martial artist. There was also a young man with a nervous expression. Uncle Wang, is it really okay? The young man asked uneasily. Don't worry, young master. As long as we lure out one blood flame rat at a time, there won't be any danger. Yes, this time we must get the heart of the blood flame rat. The young man clenched his fist. The middle-aged man in black laughed. At the same time, he quickly lit up a snake-shaped incense stick. A strange fragrance drifted with the wind. However, the middle-aged man quickly extinguished the snake-shaped incense stick and waited carefully. Soon there was a commotion in the distance. Then the ground started to tremble. Accompanying it was a red blood mist and a dense baleful aura. Be careful, the blood flame rat is here. The middle-aged man in black shouted. Chapter 723. In the distance, a figure the size of a small mountain appeared in the forest. It was a blood flame rat with scales all over its body. It was as big as a mountain and was surrounded by a bloody aura. It was extremely terrifying. When it saw the black-clothed middle-aged man and the other two, it did not rush over. Instead, it opened its bloody mouth and spat out a green ball of light. Oh no! The black-clothed middle-aged man's expression changed drastically. This situation was beyond his expectations. He originally thought that the blood flame rat would rush over, but he did not expect this situation. In a moment of desperation, he only had to attack. Whoosh! A purple saber light cut through the void like a purple wave and slashed toward the blood flame rat. Puff! The purple saber light was resplendent and slashed the green ball of light in the air, instantly shattering it. However, the green ball of light contained a large amount of green liquid that was highly toxic and corrosive. It instantly wrapped around the purple saber light, making sizzling sounds. More green liquid fell to the ground, corroding the trees and soil, creating large depressions. The black-clothed middle-aged man was a supremacy after all. He roared angrily, and the saber light was as bright as snow. It was like a ferocious purple python. Bang! The saber slashed at the blood flame rat and tore its scaly body apart. Roar! The blood flame rat let out a sharp cry in pain. The sound wave was like a tsunami that spread in all directions. Oh no! The black-clothed middle-aged man's eyelids twitched. This roar definitely alarmed the entire blood flame rat group. Damn it, run! At this moment, he no longer cared about hunting and turned around to fly back. However, the ground around him trembled and countless mountain-like figures appeared, surrounding this place. At the same time, the ground under the young man's feet cracked, and a shocking murderous aura soared into the sky. No! The black-clothed middle-aged man roared crazily. He wanted to help, but it was too late. At this moment, an azure arrow pierced through the air like a bolt of lightning and shot towards the blood flame rat on the ground. Puff! Roar! Blood splattered everywhere, accompanied by a miserable roar. The ground cracked and a huge body was pierced through by the green arrow. The terrifying power brought the blood flame rat hundreds of meters away. What a terrifying archery technique! The young man and the others were stunned. The black-clothed middle-aged man's heart trembled. As a supremacy, he could understand how terrifying that arrow was. Roar! Seeing their companions killed, countless blood flame rats were enraged. Their murderous aura soared into the sky, dyeing the entire forest red. They all stared behind them. Even the black-clothed hillman was staring intently. Behind him, the void rippled, and a handsome young man in a blue robe stepped through the air. He held a golden bow in his hand. Thank you for your help, young hero. The three of them were shocked to see how young the newcomer was. Nothing much, just carrying out a mission. This young man was naturally Lin Xian. Through his soul power, he had long since discovered the blood flame rat underground. At the critical moment, he had launched an attack and saved the young man's life. Mission? The black-robed middle-aged man asked carefully. Could it be that young hero is a disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy? Yes. Lin Xian nodded. Then he once again drew his thunder bow. Green arrows flew out one after another at extreme speed, leaving no time for anyone to react. Puff! Puff! In an instant, the three blood flame rats were pierced through, and their huge bodies were nailed to the ground. Hiss! The middle-aged man in black sucked in a breath of cold air. What terrifying strength! The young man's eyes were filled with envy. He clenched his fists excitedly. The surrounding blood flame rats were enraged. They all rushed towards Lin Xian with bloodshot eyes. They wanted nothing more than to tear him in half. Not good, young hero, be careful. The black-robed middle-aged man reminded. The attack of so many blood flame rats wasn't a joke. No matter how strong one was, it would be difficult to defend against them. Unless he was a second-level venerable. Looking at the blood flame rats coming from all directions, Lin Xian stood calmly. Then, a shocking roar came from his body, piercing through the clouds. That roar was very deep, like the roar of a dragon. Buzz! As soon as the roar came out, the blood flame rats trembled. Their eyes were filled with fear, and many of them were trembling. That was fear that came from their souls. In the next moment, those overbearing demonic beasts with monstrous baleful auras all fled. They transformed into numerous rays of bloody light that charged out of the forest and mountains, and they fled without a trace. Buzz! Lin Xian took the opportunity to kill another 2 blood flame rats. It's just a group of demonic beasts. How dare they act so arrogantly in front of me? If I don't show my power, do they really think I'm a sick snake? The dark red dragon snorted. It turned out that the dragon roar just now was from him. As a member of the Divine Dragon clan, he naturally had the ability to suppress demonic beasts, especially those blood flame rats. Below, the black-robed middle-aged man, and the other 2 were completely stunned. This method was simply a miracle. I only want the demonic crystals of the blood flame rats, Lin Xian said to the 3 people below. Okay. Hero, please wait a moment. The 3 people came back to their senses and began to deal with the corpses of the blood flame rats. Soon 5 fist-sized demonic crystals appeared in front of Lin Xian. It's very dangerous here. Be careful. Lin Xian put away the demonic crystals and reminded them. Then, he turned into a streak of sword light and disappeared. Hero, may I know your name? The black-robed martial artist shouted. Lin Xian. Hero Lin. Our Wang clan will forever remember this kindness. Uncle Wang, this is great. We have the hearts of the blood flame rats. The young man was also happy. The martial artists of the Immortal Martial Academy are so strong. How good would it be if I could enter? Hero is probably someone on the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. Ordinary disciples of the Academy are not as strong as him. The black-robed middle-aged man muttered. Let's go quickly. The clan is still waiting for us. Then the 3 of them left quickly. After they left, a wisp of green smoke appeared and gradually turned into a human figure. Bow and arrow with the power of wind and thunder. Interesting. The human figure sneered and then floated into the distance. That direction was the direction Lin Xian had left in. Lin Xian left the nest of the blood flame rats and began his next mission. It was also a killing mission. However, the target this time was not a demonic beast, but a demon general. Above demonic beasts were demon generals. 1 to 9 stars corresponded to the 9 levels of the Honorable Realm. Lin Xian's target this time was a 1-star demon general, the golden-eyed demonic bat. To be exact, it was the wings of the golden-eyed demonic bat. West. Lin Xian followed the instructions on the mission information and moved. Gradually, a mountain range appeared in front of him. When he first arrived, it was sparse. Later on, it connected together. Furthermore, plumes of black smoke were rising from the mountains. Lin Xian knew that it was formed by demonic qi. Whoosh! As he approached the mountain range, he did not fly in the air but chose to walk. When he got closer, Lin Xian realized that there were caves under the mountain range. They were dark and strange. Kacha! The withered branches on the ground made a sound, as if it was a demonic sound, and alerted the existence inside. Suddenly, there were waves of fluctuations in the cave. The surrounding air trembled violently, as if something was about to come out. Chapter 724. The air vibrated as countless black shadows pounced towards Lin Xian. Bats, countless bats, like a black flood, covered the sky and covered the earth. Pairs of bloodthirsty eyes flickered, incomparably demonic. Roar! Another deep dragon roar, forming a visible sound wave that swept out in all directions. Immediately, the bats that were pouncing over trembled and fell to the ground. Soon, the bats that rushed out of the cave all landed on the ground. At this moment, an even more terrifying sound came from the depths of the cave, shaking the surrounding rocks and cracking them. Obviously, the dragon roar just now had stimulated the Bat King inside. Whoosh! A gray shadow floated by, and a sharp sound broke through the air. A pair of sharp claws grabbed towards Lin Xian from above. So fast, Lin Xian used the illusory demonic steps, and his body turned into countless phantoms, dodging quickly. Then he looked ahead vigilantly. There was a 2-foot-tall monster with a human body and a bat head. Its 4 limbs had sharp claws, and a pair of gray wings that were 3 feet long with golden lines on its back. Its eyes were golden, and at this moment, they were emitting a fierce light. Golden-eyed demon bat, right? Lin Xian carefully compared, and found that the monster in front of him was the one he was looking for. As if it felt Lin Xian's burning gaze, the golden-eyed demon bat roared, and the sound wave was like a sharp blade, cutting through the void. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The air trembled as if it was boiling. Countless cracks about 10 feet long appeared on the surrounding rocks and ground, and the incisions were flat. It was very terrifying. Sound wave technique. The golden-eyed demon bat's signature attack. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The roar was terrifying, and the mountains really trembled. Countless peaks cracked open. The terrifying sound wave rushed towards Lin Xian. Mad lion roar. Lin Xian opened his mouth and roared out the same sound wave technique. As if an ancient demonic lion was born, the terrifying sound shook the air as if a tsunami had occurred. Puff, 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 puff. Boulders were shattered into pieces, and trees were turned into powder. The ground seemed to be torn apart by a pair of invisible hands, and a terrifying crack appeared and spread into the distance. The two sound waves collided, producing a demonic sound. Countless translucent wavy blades surged and rushed into the sky. Terrifying energy surged out, causing the area within a radius of 1,000 meters to be greatly impacted. Seeing that his sonic attack was blocked, the golden-eyed demonic bat became extremely anxious. His gray wings flapped, and he turned into a gray light, quickly rushing towards Lin Xian. He waved his claws, tearing the void apart. The murderous aura soared into the sky, forming a demonic cloud that covered all directions. In the blink of an eye, the golden-eyed demonic bat arrived in front of Lin Xian, its sharp claws gleaming with a cold light as it swiped at Lin Xian. Clang! Lin Xian pulled out the wind shadow sword and slashed at the sharp claws. The sound of metal clashing rang out as countless sparks flashed, forming electric arcs that filled the sky. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The golden-eyed demonic bat launched an attack and engaged in a fierce battle with Lin Xian. The two of them were very fast, as if two balls of light were fighting fiercely. Sword of Spring, continuous spring rain. With a swing of the sword, countless strands of sword chi formed into threads that connected together like raindrops falling down. These days, Lin Xian had been studying the four-season sword technique and had made some progress, so it was the perfect time to use it. The sword chi was continuous and full of vitality. Each sword was stronger than the previous, as if it was endless. The golden-eyed demonic bat was enraged. It spread its wings and flew away, but no matter where it escaped, it was surrounded by sword chi. Clang, clang. Puff, puff, puff. In an instant, its body was hit more than 100 times. Fortunately, it was a demonic general and had a strong defense. Otherwise, if it was a normal demonic beast, it would have been cut into countless pieces. But even so, it was still injured. There were countless sword wounds on its body, and streams of green blood flowed out, emitting a fishy smell. Roar! The golden-eyed demonic bat was enraged. It had never been injured like this by a human before. With a furious roar, it rushed over again with endless demonic chi. A human and a demonic beast started fighting again. At this time, a wisp of green smoke silently arrived nearby and stopped in a hidden place. Lin Xian and the golden-eyed demonic bat did not notice it. The two of them fought again and again, and the terrifying energy destroyed everything around them. Spring sword, spring breeze. Gusts of wind formed on the sword blade and whistled out with the sword blade. Countless sword chi surged, turning into a gust of wind that was all-pervasive. On the opposite side, the golden-eyed demonic bat felt the danger and screamed crazily. Demonic chi surged out of its body, forming the shadow of a ferocious bat king. It was about 30 meters long and emitted a terrifying aura. An intense collision occurred, and the two forces of energy entangled together. Silently, Lin Xian changed his sword technique. Autumn sword, solitary sword. This sword was very slow, as if it was stabbing out slowly, but wherever it passed, grass and trees would fall, and everything would wither. The ferocious bat king's shadow suddenly became dim, as if it would shatter at any time. Feeling that its vitality was being taken away, the golden-eyed demonic bat became frightened and uneasy. Above its eyes, golden light bloomed, forming two spiral-like golden ripples. When the ripples appeared, it made people feel as if their souls were trembling. Kid, this should be its bloodline demonic technique. The dark red divine dragon transmitted its voice. Lin Xian was alarmed. This force was enough to threaten him. Winter sword, winter slaughter. Terrifying killing intent spread out, and then the power of the great dragon sword soul surged out. This sword was extremely powerful. A sword light slashed out, and the space was split open. It was vast and mighty like a river of death, intimidating the surroundings. Boom! The sword chi surged and collided with the golden spiral, shattering it on the spot. Then, it quickly slashed towards the golden-eyed demonic bat. At the same time, the green smoke in the dark corner floated and quickly floated towards Lin Xian. Crack! The golden-eyed demonic bat resisted with all its might, but it was still split in half. Green blood splattered on the ground. However, in the next moment, Lin Xian's hair stood on end. He felt a fatal killing intent. Buzz! In an instant, the red lotus armor covered his body. Ding! A crisp voice rang out behind him, accompanied by a terrifying power. Fortunately, the red lotus armor was extremely tough and blocked the fatal attack. However, the force sent Lin Xian flying. The huge force hit Lin Xian and sent him flying in the air like a meteor. Using the illusory demonic steps, Lin Xian's body moved horizontally in the air, dissipating the terrifying force. He blocked it. How is that possible? A surprised voice sounded. Lin Xian suppressed the blood and qi in his body and turned around. His eyes were like sword radiance, sweeping in all directions. It's you. Seeing the martial artist behind him, Lin Xian's face darkened. That person was none other than the young man beside Yin Qingyang. Defensive armor. Kid, I didn't expect you to have such a treasure. It can actually block my attack? Chu Tianhao was shocked. He looked at the red lotus armor on Lin Xian with greed in his eyes. Kid, it's a waste for you to have such a treasure. Why don't you hand it over to me? Maybe I can spare your life. Lin Xian snorted, and his expression turned cold. I've said it before. I hate flies. Chapter 725. I've said that I hate flies. Since you're eager to die, don't blame me. Lin Xian said coldly. Brat, you're arrogant. Chu Tianhao snorted when he heard Lin Xian's words. Let me tell you, freshmen have their own rules. You can't just offend anyone. Especially our Dao Spirit Association. You can't afford to offend us. Let me teach you how to behave. Chu Tianhao's body began to turn illusory and hazy. Like a wisp of white smoke, he dissipated in the air and quickly drifted toward Lin Xian. It was a strange scene. A living person had turned into smoke. Those who didn't know better would think that they had seen a ghost. Like a phantom, the white smoke quickly rushed out. Its speed was so fast that it was shocking. Sword of Spring, continuous spring rain. Lin Xian used the four-season swordplay as he stabbed out with the wind shadow sword. In an instant, the space in front of him was filled with fine sword radiance. It was continuous and formed a sword screen. Like a continuous spring rain, the space in front of him was filled with sword radiance and sealed off everything. Haha, it's useless. My martial soul is smoke. It's formless and formless. You can't hurt me at all. The arrogant voice rang out. Then, the white smoke quickly passed through the dense sword radiance and drifted toward Lin Xian. The scene was strange. In the sky full of sword radiance, a cloud of white smoke drifted leisurely without any obstruction. In the air, the smoke slowly condensed and quickly formed into Chu Tianhao's figure. His fist was covered with thick white smoke, and a terrifying fist force was coming at him quickly. I can turn into smoke at any time, and condense into a form at any time. I'm formless and formless. Let's see how you can hurt me. White smoke ghost fist. Above his fist, white smoke rolled and formed two ferocious ghost heads. They attached themselves to his fist and roared as they bit toward Lin Xian. The air was instantly blasted. A terrifying force rushed to the sky and left a white trail in the air. Rows of airwaves rolled. It was a shocking scene. Sword of Summer, Dance of the Wild Wind. Lin Xian held the wind shadow sword in his hand and swung it towards the sky. A strong gust of wind blew in the air and whistled as if a wind beast was roaring. A terrifying and vast power surged in all directions. Whoosh! The fierce wind and sword chi whistled, blowing on the white smoke ghost fist, causing it to sway nonstop, as if it would shatter at any moment. Petty tricks. Chu Tianhao sneered as he punched out with his fist. Instantly, The white ghost head turned illusory as it tried to pass through the raging sword chi. Wisps of white smoke surged in the air and strangely appeared in front of Lin Xian. They quickly condensed, and the ghost head suddenly bit down. Puff! Lin Xian's figure shattered. It was just an afterimage. His real body had already arrived at the side with a solemn look in his eyes. His opponent's martial soul was too strange. It was actually this kind of formless smoke, which was indeed beyond his expectations. Vermilion bird seal. With a low shout, he formed a seal with his left palm and quickly waved it forward. A vermilion bird soared into the sky, bringing with it towering flames. It pierced through the void like a real divine beast, pouncing towards Chu Tianhao. The entire sky was dyed red, and the blazing energy caused the void to tremble. Like a meteor, it streaked across the sky brilliantly. Its useless formless form, the white ghost head floated and turned into wisps of white smoke, slipping away in all directions as if it had disappeared. Chu Tianha's face was filled with disdain. Although he was only at the first sky of the honorable realm, his martial soul made him extremely strange. Very few people in the same realm could defeat him. Boom! The flaming vermilion bird tore the sky apart and pierced through the ground, but it did not hurt Chu Tianhao. Whoosh! In an instant, Chu Tianhao had already arrived behind Lin Xian. He bent his arm and formed a long whip of white smoke, forming a spiderweb-like smoke net that quickly wrapped around Lin Xian. The red lotus armor on Lin Xian's body flickered, forming a solid defense. At the same time, he stabbed out with his sword. Puff! Chu Tianha's chest was pierced, and a transparent sword hole appeared, but there was no blood. Ha 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 ha! When the sword radiance disappeared, the smoke drifted and repaired the body that was hit. Chu Tianhao was unharmed, but Lin Xian was shrouded in the white smoke net. Unharmed, Lin Xian frowned. It seemed that normal attacks had no effect. Don't waste your energy. With your strength, you can't hurt me. Chu Tianhao said disdainfully. Kid, watch how I deal with you. He was like a demon, slowly walking towards Lin Xian. Can't hurt you. Lin Xian laughed. You're too confident. Watch how I break your net. Break it. You think you can break my attack? Chu Tianhao laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. However, he soon couldn't laugh anymore. His face turned red, as if someone was strangling him. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Just a moment ago, a sword radiance flashed and cut the white smoke net that he had formed. Furthermore, what was even stranger was that the smoke did not merge back together like before. There was a sharp and terrifying aura at the opening that stopped everything. How is this possible? Chu Tianhao was shocked and disbelief was written all over his face. Although he was a first-rank honorable, he had few opponents in the same rank as him, because of his smoke martial soul. That kind of formless attack was impossible for his opponents to break. Even if it was broken, he could quickly merge it back together. However, this time, things were out of his control. The smoke that was cut apart by Lin Xian could not merge back together. Damn it, what did he do? What kind of power is that? Chu Tianha's face turned ugly. If he was surprised, then in the next moment he was horrified. This was because he saw Lin Xian use the lonely sword to pierce the sky and disperse the smoke above. The smoke dimmed and then disappeared in the air. What, this is impossible? Chu Tianhao panicked. He tried his best to sense, and found that the smoke had really disappeared. Impossible, how can this be? He was horrified. He looked at Lin Xian, and trembled slightly. Is that his martial soul? Chu Tianhao panicked. In fact, he guessed right. That was the power of Lin Xian's dragon sword soul. The great dragon sword spirit was an offensive saint technique between heaven and earth. It was invincible and could cut through the void, let alone the smoke. Therefore, when Lin Xian used the power of the dragon sword soul, he easily cut the smoke apart. Then, he used the lonely sword to make the smoke disappear. It could be said that Lin Xian had become Chu Tianha's nemesis. Lin Xian severed the white fog net around him with his sword. Then, he walked over slowly with the wind shadow sword in his hand. Didn't you want to teach me a lesson? What other tricks do you have? Use them all. Chu Tianhao was horrified. His martial soul was restrained, and he did not have the courage to fight. Brat, consider yourself lucky. I'll let you go this time, but don't let me see you again. With that, he turned around and wanted to leave. You want to leave? Don't you think it's too late? Lin Xian sneered. He used his body movement skill and created countless shadows. They filled the surroundings and blocked Chu Tianha's way. Chapter 726. Why don't I teach you how to behave? The same words were returned to him by Lin Xian. If it was someone else, Chu Tianhao would have slapped him. How dare someone teach him how to behave? But now he didn't dare to do anything. Lin Xian's martial soul was too powerful. It completely countered his martial soul. Now he was filled with regret. Why did he force himself to be brave and accept this mission? Why didn't he investigate Lin Xian's background before coming here? If he knew that Lin Xian was so strong, he wouldn't have come. But it was too late to say anything now. You, what are you doing? Chu Tianhao was terrified. I'm warning you, I'm from the Tao Spirit Association. If you dare to touch me, you're dead. He had no choice but to use the Tao Spirit Association to intimidate Lin Xian, hoping to scare him. But Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. Instead, his smile became wider. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I know the rules of the Immortal Martial Academy. Lin Xian smiled. I just want to teach you how to behave. Looking at that sinister smile, Chu Tianhao was about to cry. Indeed, the Immortal Martial Academy prohibited killing, but there was a kind of pain worse than death. Chu Tianhao knew that Lin Xian wouldn't let him go easily. As expected, Lin Xian waved his hand and released the dark red dragon and the white monkey. Come, I'll teach you how to behave. The dark red dragon was excited. I'm the best at teaching people. Let me do it. The white monkey was equally excited and danced with joy. Snake demon! Chu Tianhao screamed. Damn it, how can you say that? I'll teach you a lesson. The dark red dragon was unhappy. Little guy, tie him up. Run. Chu Tianhao was going crazy. His body turned into white smoke and fled in all directions. This was his secret escape technique. As long as a wisp of white smoke escaped, he would be able to escape. However, he still underestimated the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey. Looking at the scattered white smoke, the dark red divine dragon sneered. It waved its red dragon claws and quickly set up a formation that covered a radius of 100 meters. Then, a strange force formed in the formation, causing Chu Tianhao to reveal himself. Then, a bolt of thunder flashed, shining with dazzling light, and rushed towards Chu Tianhao. That scene resembled the roar of a thunder dragon. Wang! In an instant, the thunder and lightning transformed into a line of light, trapping Chu Tianhao. Wuji Wuji, the little white monkey, was excited. It used the thunder god whip in its hand to trap the other party. Puff! With a casual tug, Chu Tianhao was pulled down. Chu Tianhao was in a daze, unable to believe what he had just heard. This time, he didn't even use Lin Xian's hand. How could two demonic beasts finish him off? What happened to this world? He felt that he could not keep up with the pace of the world. Brat, this emperor's education is about to begin. Ah! Then a miserable cry rang out. It sounded like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. It sent chills down one's spine, causing the surrounding demonic beasts to flee. After a long time, the sound gradually disappeared. Demon, demon! Chu Tianha's body curled up like a little wife who had been violated. It was very miserable. Lin Xian dealt with the golden-eyed demonic bat's corpse and came to Chu Tianha's side. How was it? Problem. This brat will definitely be a good person in the future. The dark red dragon patted its chest and promised. Here. This is his immortal martial spirit tablet and storage ring. Lin Xian took it with satisfaction, then began to inspect the spirit tablet. 200 spiritual value points? So little? Lin Xian frowned. Hey, aren't you from the Tao Spirit Association? Why are you so poor? Hearing this, Chu Tianha's mouth twitched. I've already used up all my spiritual value points. Who would still have any left? Forget it. Lin Xian was disappointed. Throw the spirit tablet over. This time you're lucky. Lucky? Chu Tianhao cried. Not only did he receive a deep education, but his storage ring was also taken away. How could this be called lucky? He realized that compared to Lin Xian, he was nothing. Lin Xian was the demon. I'll let you off this time. If you want to cause trouble again, remember to bring more spiritual value points. Lin Xian kept the storage ring and left with the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey. In the forest, only Chu Tianha's miserable howls could be heard. In the Immortal Martial Academy, a few youths were waiting at the pavilion near the entrance. These people were Yan Qingyang and the other members of the Tao Spirit Association. Looking at the time, Chu Tianhao should be done. Why isn't he back yet? I guess that brat is thinking of some new ways to torture him. The youths discussed. Yan Qingyang frowned. He didn't know why, but he had a bad premonition in his heart. Brother Yang, don't worry. He's just a new student and a fake honorable at that. What can he do? That's right, isn't it just? Another disciple said with a smile. However, he stopped halfway because he saw a person. That brat? How is that possible? They were shocked. Why was he fine? Damn it, did Chu Tianhao not do anything? Seeing that Lin Xian had returned safe and sound, Yan Qingyang's face turned gloomy. Tell Chu Tianhao to come back and see me. After saying that, he waved his sleeves and disappeared in a ray of light. Only the rest of the people were left looking at each other. After Lin Xian returned, he ran straight to the mission hall. The 2 missions this time were considered practice. He only wanted to understand the situation of the missions. After everything was clear, he would challenge the missions with high spiritual value points. Of the 2 missions, one was the basic mission of the academy, which only gave him a pitiful 100 spiritual value points. As for the other mission, Lin Xian got 1500 spiritual value points. 1-star demon general, 1500 spiritual value points. It seemed that spiritual value points were not easy to earn. Lin Xian curled his lips, kept the spiritual value points, and returned to his courtyard. At the same time, in the residential area of the senior students, Yan Qingyang and the rest were gathered in a small mansion. Among them was Chu Tianhao. At this moment, Chu Tianhao's face was pale, and he looked dispirited. It was obvious that he had not recovered from the previous education. Old Chu, what's wrong with you? Why did you let that brat return safely? Yeah, didn't you do anything? The surrounding warriors asked. Yan Qingyang's face was also gloomy. What happened? You have to give me an explanation for this. Hearing the crowd's question, Chu Tianhao seemed to have thought of something, and his body trembled. He said weakly, I did, but I failed. Failed? How is that possible? The crowd did not believe him. Your mist martial spirit is so powerful. How could he resist it? It's useless. His martial spirit is even more strange. It's my nemesis. Chu Tianhao shook his head. He did not want to elaborate. After all, this was related to his history of humiliation. Brother Yang, that brat is very strange. His martial spirit is very sharp. I'm not his opponent. After saying that, Chu Tianhao left alone without waiting for their response. Strange. Sharp. The crowd was stunned. Looking at Chu Tianhao's appearance, it was obvious that he had suffered a great loss. Was the other party really that difficult to deal with? Chapter 727. Lin Xian returned to the courtyard and organized Chu Tianhao's storage rings. He kept the useful ones and exchanged the useless ones for spiritual value points. Then he began to cultivate again. This time, Lin Xian's focus was not only on the 4-season sword technique, but also on the improvement of his cultivation. Although he had the strength of a first-level honorable, his cultivation was still at the limit of the spirit-detecting realm. Under such circumstances, he would not be able to enter the mysterious sovereign leaderboard. The requirement to enter the mysterious sovereign leaderboard was that one had to reach the honorable realm. Therefore, Lin Xian planned to raise his cultivation to the honorable realm. However, after cultivating for a long time, he shook his head slightly. Although his cultivation speed was already very fast, he was still not satisfied. I heard that there are other spirit gathering arrays in the academy. I wonder how effective those high-grade ones are. The place he lived in only had the most ordinary spirit gathering array. Although the effect was not bad, it was not possible to break through to the honorable realm in a short period of time. Therefore, He wanted to take a look at those so-called high-grade spirit gathering arrays. The spirit gathering array was very famous in the Immortal Martial Academy. Therefore, he could easily find out its location by asking around. Lin Xian carefully asked around and found out that with his current spiritual value points, he could only enter the intermediate spirit gathering array at most. After knowing the direction, Lin Xian walked towards the intermediate spirit gathering array. Soon, he arrived at the intermediate spirit gathering array area. The number of academies nearby began to increase, and the spiritual qi in the air was obviously denser. When he arrived, Lin Xian realized that it was different from what he had imagined. This spirit gathering array was different from the courtyard he lived in. It was a spirit gathering tower. However, the spirit gathering tower was not built on the ground, but underground. Deep pits that were like sinkholes appeared in front of him, filled with a mysterious aura. Lin Xian took a look. There were a total of 6 spirit gathering towers, forming a circle. Below the 6 spirit gathering towers was a super large intermediate spirit gathering array. From the conversations of the surrounding students, Lin Xian found out that the lower the spirit gathering tower was, the better the effect. It required more spiritual value points. The intermediate spirit gathering tower had a total of 9 floors. Each floor had 36 cultivation rooms, and the price of each floor was different. The first floor required 500 spiritual value points for 2 hours. The second floor required 1,000 spiritual value points. The third floor required 1,500 spiritual value points. All the way to the 9th level, cultivating for 2 hours would require 5,000 spiritual value points. That price could be said to be terrifying. The first floor was the cheapest, so most people rented it, but the effect was the worst. Although it was said to be the worst, it was many times better than the spirit gathering array in the courtyard. When Lin Xian arrived at the first floor, he discovered that the spiritual qi on the first floor was at least double that of his courtyard. As expected of an intermediate spirit gathering array, it was indeed powerful. If the first floor was already so powerful, he really didn't know what the 9th floor would be like. However, with his current wealth, he could not go to the 9th level. After calculating the spiritual value points in his hands, Lin Xian decided to go to the 2nd level. The passage was spiraling, and the walls on both sides were inlaid with luminous pearls, illuminating the spiritual tower. Lin Xian made his way through the numerous academies. However, the path to the 2nd level was blocked. A figure was sitting cross-legged there, blocking the passage. It was a young man dressed in black. He had short hair and an aquiline nose. His eyes were cold as he sat there with an evil grin on his face. In addition, there were a few students in front of him. Their bodies were injured and their faces were filled with anger. What's going on? Lin Xian frowned. Fighting in the spirit gathering tower? Freshman? Someone beside him asked. I advise you not to go over, or else you'll end up like those people. Someone pointed at the injured students and said. Why? Lin Xian did not understand. The person beside him sighed and explained. Entering the cultivation room requires spiritual value points, and the price is not cheap. However, some people don't have that many spiritual value points on them, or they don't want to spend the spiritual value points on them, so they can only use others. Use others? Lin Xian frowned. You mean snatch? Snatch? You're right, but they don't dare to say that. The short-haired young man in black sneered. You're quite bold, to dare to say snatch in front of me. Do you want to use the 2nd floor? If you want to use it, then come over. If you don't dare, then scram and hide in the 1st floor forever. The short-haired young man snorted coldly, his words extremely arrogant. Doesn't the academy care about this kind of thing? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. As long as no one dies, they usually don't care. That person sighed. The path of martial arts is filled with danger, and we're in the even more dangerous blood realm. If you can't even bear these things, then you'll only die outside. Hearing this, Lin Xian fell silent. Indeed, this was a world where the strong were respected. The academy only provided resources and life insurance, and everything else required one to fight for themselves. After talking so much nonsense, do you dare to pass or not? If you don't, then scram. Don't waste my feelings. The short-haired young man shouted coldly, his body emitting a powerful aura. Immediately, many of the surrounding students' expressions changed, and they kept retreating. Freshman, they're from the greedy wolf gang. You'd better not provoke them. The person beside him kindly reminded him. Have they always been so arrogant? Lin Xian asked. The members of the greedy wolf gang are greedy, domineering, and very cruel. You can say that they're a gangster organization. However, they have always been domineering, but there are exceptions. Exceptions? This time, Lin Xian didn't ask, because he saw the exception that happened next. A figure entered from the entrance, passed through the crowd, and walked forward. The young man was wearing a white shirt, and although he didn't release any aura, he had a powerful aura, like a mountain that people looked up to. Seeing the young man in white, the short-haired young man sitting on the ground was stunned, then quickly stood up and moved to the side, making way for him. Thud, thud, thud. The young man in white looked indifferent. He didn't even look at the short-haired young man, and directly went to the next floor. Throughout the whole process, the short-haired young man in black didn't say a word, and even looked a little nervous. Is this the exception? Lin Xian laughed. He finally knew what kind of people the greedy wolf gang was. What greedy wolf gang? It turns out that they're a bunch of trash who only know how to bully the weak. Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. The surrounding crowd was shocked, and looked at Lin Xian in a daze. Although they knew it was true, no one dared to say it out loud. After all, the greedy wolf gang was very cruel and terrifying. Whoosh! In the next moment, the surrounding students moved and distanced themselves from Lin Xian. Even the martial artist who warned them shook his head and left Lin Xian's side. He didn't want to be misunderstood. Seeing the crowd's reaction, Lin Xian sighed. The greedy wolf gang had done a lot of evil, otherwise they wouldn't be so afraid. Chapter 728. Brat, kneel down and admit your mistake, and I might let you go. If you offend the greedy wolf society, you're dead meat. The short-haired youth's voice was filled with killing intent. Hearing this voice, the injured students at the side trembled. They were injured because they were unconvinced and attacked. You're just a first-level venerable. I really don't know what you're so arrogant about. Lin Xian shook his head and walked forward. You're courting death. The short-haired youth shouted angrily. No one dared to look down on him like this. A new student dared to provoke him. This was undoubtedly courting death. Although I can't kill you, I have a way to make you wish you were dead. The short-haired youth's expression was sinister as he revealed a cruel smile. After killing Lin Xian and obtaining the spiritual value points, he would have enough spiritual value points to allow him to cultivate on the second level for a few hours. Little rookie, I'll let you know the rules of the Immortal Martial Academy. The surrounding students shook their heads and sighed. The other party was the Greedy Wolf Society. Going up like this was no different from courting death. Moreover, Lin Xian didn't show any powerful aura. However, there were some new students who recognized Lin Xian. Isn't that the one who got first place in the exam? Yeah, I remember him. He's very close to Morong Qingcheng. I think his name is Lin Xian. Many people were discussing. First place in the exam. No wonder he's so arrogant. The short-haired youth was disdainful. First place in the exam. And he thinks he's invincible. What a joke. Let me tell you, you newbies are nothing in front of me. You talk too much nonsense. Lin Xian frowned and quickened his pace. Brat, kneel down. The short-haired youth shouted and waved his palm. In the next moment, a terrifying aura erupted as a powerful force surged along with the fist wind. The short-haired youth controlled the force well. The force gathered together and rushed towards Lin Xian without spreading. Scram! Lin Xian spat out a thunderous sound and similarly punched out. On his fist, golden lightning danced, forming a dragon head that roared ferociously. Boom! The two collided with each other, creating a deep sound that echoed in the tunnel. Suddenly, mysterious patterns appeared on the walls on both sides, emitting light and forming a light screen that protected the tower. The short-haired young man's body trembled, and he retreated continuously. Streaks of golden lightning coursed through his body, forming a powerful lightning force that numbed his entire body. What? Repelled. Everyone was shocked, their faces filled with disbelief. They did not expect that a freshman could actually beat back a member of the ravenous wolf gang with one punch. No wonder the other party didn't seem to care at all, and wanted to go to the second floor. It turned out that he was actually so powerful. The short-haired young man was equally shocked. His body trembled slightly as the golden electric arc slowed his movements. Spiritual energy surged within the short-haired young man's body, forming a wave of spiritual energy that eliminated the lightning on his body. Then he stared at Lin Xian. A biting cold murderous aura filled the air. The freshman in front of him had actually made him suffer a loss. As a member of the greedy wolf gang, he could not tolerate this. "Brat, you'll regret this." "Scram!" Lin Xian shouted coldly, his voice like thunder. Everyone was shocked. This freshman was so terrifying. No matter how they looked at him, he was even more arrogant than the members of the greedy wolf gang. The short-haired young man's face was gloomy. Although he had suffered a loss just now, it did not mean that he was inferior to Lin Xian. In the next moment his spiritual energy surged, and a purple halo appeared with a terrifying aura. "Brat, this is my martial soul purple destruction halo. You should be proud of being defeated by my martial soul." After displaying his purple ring martial soul, the short-haired young man had a domineering aura. Purple ripples appeared and spread in all directions like waves. They carried a terrifying power and surged toward Lin Xian. The surroundings became abnormally oppressive, making it difficult for people to breathe. "Purple ring martial soul, this is what you rely on?" Lin Xian sneered. Sword radiance flashed in his eyes, and suddenly, a fierce aura surged out. It was as if a peerless divine sword had been unsheathed, splitting the void. The surrounding people trembled, especially the martial artist who had warned Lin Xian. His eyes were wide open. He did not expect Lin Xian to have such strength. The fierce aura made his heart tremble, and he was unable to resist it. What is this, a martial soul? Why is it so fierce? Until now, he had not seen through Lin Xian's martial soul. The short-haired young man also felt Lin Xian's martial soul, and his face turned ugly. The fierce aura made his heart tremble, and he felt as if he could not resist it. It felt as if there was a divine sword hanging above his head, and it would slash down at any moment. Sword of Summer, Sword of Great Waterfall. Lin Xian's fingers were like a sword, and they fell quickly. Suddenly, the spiritual energy in the sky tumbled, and countless sword chi surged like a huge silver waterfall, surging without stopping. Every waterfall was formed by the sword chi, and it was extremely fierce. The short-haired young man's pupil shrank. This sword was too exquisite, and its aura was extremely violent. However, its power was controlled within a certain range, and it did not cause any damage to the spirit-gathering pagoda. This kind of precise control was frightening. However, he would not sit still and wait for death. With a cold snort, the short-haired young man held the purple destruction halo in his hand and swung it forward. Suddenly, rays of purple destruction halo rushed forward, and it was terrifying and dazzling. Rumble! The two forces intertwined. The waterfall surged, and it was extremely fierce, tearing the sky apart. The purple destruction halo had a destructive aura. However, Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul was too powerful, and its attack power was far beyond that of the same level. Other than Second Heaven Honorable Realm experts, no one could resist it. Rip! In an instant, the purple destruction halo that filled the sky was torn apart like a piece of cloth, and terrifying cracks appeared. How is this possible? The short-haired young man was terrified. How could his opponent's martial soul be so powerful? This aura had surpassed that of a First Heaven Honorable Realm expert. Is he a Second Heaven Honorable Realm martial artist? His heart trembled, and his mind went blank. He had never met such a powerful opponent in the same level as him. Bang! In the next instant, the sword chi condensed and slashed down quickly. No! The short-haired young man screamed, and he was so frightened that he could not stand steadily. He did not want to die. Buzz! The sword chi suddenly stopped, and it was only an inch away from the short-haired young man's body. The cold aura stimulated the short-haired young man's body, and he almost collapsed. Lin Xian easily defeated the short-haired young man, but he did not kill him. This was because killing was not allowed in the Immortal Martial Academy. Scram, don't let me see you again. Lin Xian's voice was cold. The short-haired young man's face was gloomy. He had lost today, but he believed that Lin Xian would definitely not dare to kill him. Moreover, there were so many people here. If he left just like that, he would lose the reputation of the Greed Wolf Academy. Don't be complacent. If you offend the Greed Wolf Academy, you won't have a good ending. You still dare to threaten me? Lin Xian laughed. Seems like I've been merciful to you. Then, he waved his hand, and the sword chi was like a long whip that became incomparably soft. Pa! The short-haired young man screamed in pain and was sent flying. Bang! He crashed into the wall beside him, and countless defensive lights were activated. Plop! Chapter 729. You dare to hurt me? The short-haired young man panted. You're dead meat. The greedy wolf gang won't let you off. If you don't get lost, I'll turn you into a dead wolf. Lin Xian raised his arm and a terrifying sword radiance flashed. Brat, just you wait. This isn't over. The short-haired young man saw Lin Xian's actions and his face turned ugly. He stood up with difficulty and quickly left the first floor. The surrounding crowd was shocked. This freshman is so strong. Not only was he strong, but he was also not afraid of the greedy wolf gang. However, the greedy wolf gang would not let him off easily. Lin Xian is so strong. The freshmen who were bullied were equally shocked. There were so many of them, but they could not defeat the short-haired young man. However, Lin Xian defeated him in one move. The gap was too big. Lin Xian, since you're so strong, why don't you form an organization and gather the freshmen, so that we won't be bullied? Some freshmen said. They hoped to have a strong backer. Yes, yes. Hearing those words, those people also echoed in agreement. Lin Xian turned around and looked at the freshmen. Many of them were injured. I have the idea of forming an organization, but I want real martial artists, not cowards. You can be weak, but you can't be weak. If you're not strong enough, you can still cultivate. However, once you lose that hot-blooded and fearless heart of courage, you can never find it again. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. We were not weak. The freshman retorted. Yes, what right do you have to say that about us? Everyone knows whether you're weak or not, but it'll give you a chance. Gather here in 3 days and prove your courage to me. This is your only chance to join my organization. Gather in 3 days? Why? The crowd was puzzled. Weren't you bullied by the greedy wolf gang? Fight back in 3 days. After that, Lin Xian turned around and entered the second floor. What? Retaliating against greed? Is there something wrong with Lin Xian's brain? Lunatic, he's definitely a lunatic. Many people sneered. Although the greedy wolf was greedy and cruel, he was extremely powerful. He was definitely not someone a freshman could shake. Sigh, this fellow is too arrogant. I'm afraid he's going to suffer a huge setback. Many senior students shook their heads and sighed. The freshmen were silent. They couldn't afford to offend Tan Lang, but they wouldn't admit it directly. They could only start mocking Lin Xian. This Lin Xian is too hateful. What right does he have to say that about us? That's right. Didn't you just defeat a senior? Do you really think you're number one among the freshmen? If he doesn't want us, we can go find someone else. I think that Zhou Su is very strong. Definitely stronger than Lin Xian. That's right. There's also Morong Qingqing, Dongfang Phoenix, and the others. I think they'll all form societies. Moreover, they're all beauties. To be able to join such societies is definitely a great blessing. Not only do we have to join the new student societies, we can also apply to join the older student societies. There are so many societies in the academy, it's more than enough to accommodate us. That's right. Why are you still fighting the greedy wolves? Do you think the greedy wolves are so easy to fight? Many of the older powers don't dare to do so. He's just a freshman. What right does he have to say that? I think he just wants us to be cannon fodder. He definitely doesn't have good intentions. Let's go. Many people felt uncomfortable being reprimanded by Lin Xian, so they said coldly. However, there were still some people whose eyes flickered. They seriously thought about Lin Xian's words and prepared to come here in 3 days. Lin Xian didn't know what these people were thinking. He did need some people, But what he wanted were those brave and powerful warriors, not students who were timid. Therefore, he asked those people to come here in 3 days. If no one came, then forget it. That would prove that those people were weak. If they dared to come, no matter what the outcome of this battle was, he would accept them. In fact, Lin Xian didn't even plan to let those people make a move. After putting this matter aside, Lin Xian went to the second floor. There were obviously fewer people on the second floor. After all, 1,000 spiritual value points for 2 hours was not something that anyone could afford. However, the spiritual energy here was much denser than above. Lin Xian estimated that it was more than twice as strong. Compared to his courtyard, it was nearly 3 times stronger. As expected of an intermediate spirit convergence array, it's indeed a good place. After finding an empty cultivation room, Lin Xian entered 1,000 spiritual value points and entered. There was also a small spirit convergence array in the cultivation room, so the spiritual energy was even stronger than outside. Lin Xian did not waste any time and cultivated with all his might. At the same time, he also consumed spirit wine, 1,000-year-old spirit herbs and so on, allowing his cultivation speed to reach its maximum. 2 hours quickly passed and Lin Xian came out with satisfaction. These 2 hours of cultivation were equivalent to more than a month of cultivation in the outside world. Although he had spent 1,000 spiritual value points, it was very worth it. After leaving the cultivation room, Lin Xian looked at the spiritual value card inside. He didn't have much spiritual value points left, so he could only accept a few missions. Just as Lin Xian was accepting missions and earning spirit stones, the Immortal Martial Academy was in an uproar. The reason was that Lin Xian had injured a member of the Greedy Wolf Gang in the Intermediate Spirit Convergence Tower, and said that he would lead the new students to counterattack 3 days later. Injuring a member of the Greedy Wolf Gang was already shocking enough. One had to know that the members of the Greedy Wolf Gang were all cruel and vengeful people. Offending them would definitely not end well. However, not only did Lin Xian offend them, he even wanted to counterattack. This was going against the Greedy Wolf Gang. However, could a new student like him defeat the Greedy Wolf Gang? No one thought that Lin Xian would succeed. Everyone felt that it was just a pretentious method. Perhaps he just wanted to increase his fame. After all, there were such people in the past. Many people treated this matter as a joke and did not take it to heart. However, the members of the Greedy Wolf Gang were enraged. They would not allow anyone to step on their heads. Therefore, for the battle 3 days later, these people were prepared to teach Lin Xian a lesson. Moreover, they wanted to let everyone know how powerful the Greedy Wolf Gang was. In their eyes, they could only bully others, and no one could bully them. Yan Qingyang and the rest also knew about this news. Many people from the Dao Spirit Gang laughed. This Lin Xian is really an idiot. He didn't wait for us to find him, and actually provoked the Greedy Wolf Gang himself. I'm afraid that kid is going to be unlucky this time. Just nice, let the Greedy Wolf Gang get rid of that kid. Yan Qingyang and the rest were prepared to watch the show. Not only them, Shun Yaotian, Zhou Su, and the other new students are also watching the show. They know that Lin Xian is going to be unlucky this time. Morong Qingqing was a little worried. Although she knew that Lin Xian was strong, the Greedy Wolf Gang's notoriety was widespread in the Immortal Martial Academy. Therefore, she was worried that Lin Xian would be at a disadvantage. Finally waiting for Lin Xian to return from completing the mission, Morong Qingqing immediately went up to him. "There's a beauty accompanying me when I come back. This life is really wonderful." Lin Xian looked at the beauty walking over, and said with a chuckle. Chapter 730. "You're still in the mood to joke at a time like this," Morong Qingqing said worriedly. "Why? Did something big happen?" Lin Xian was puzzled. Morong Qingqing sighed. She was so anxious, but the other party didn't know anything. "Of course it's about you and Tan Lang." "Oh, you mean that? Why? Did they surrender?" "Hey, can you speak normally?" Morong Qingqing's face turned cold. "Do you know Tan Lang's strength? Do you know who they will send this time?" Seeing Lin Xian shake his head, Morong Qingqing said angrily. "You don't know anything and you dare to accept the challenge." "Don't worry," Lin Xian said with a smile. "Although I don't know their strength, I know that the people on the mysterious sovereign leaderboard won't make a move. After all, those people will care about their reputation. They won't make a move for a new student. Otherwise, even if they win, their reputation will be tarnished. You know quite well." Morong Qingqing snorted. "That's enough. As long as those people don't make a move, it's useless no matter how many people come," Lin Xian said confidently. "All right, it seems that you're confident," Morong Qingqing said. "Since that's the case, I won't care. However, I have to remind you that although those people won't make a move against you now, once you enter the honorable realm in the future, I'm afraid that those people will come looking for trouble with you." Honorable realm. Lin Xian became even more confident. "I'm afraid that when that time comes, it's not certain who will be looking for trouble with whom." After bidding farewell to Morong Qingqing, Lin Xian returned to the courtyard. This time, he had accepted 2 missions and obtained 5,000 spiritual value points. He could enter the Spirit Gathering Tower again. As for the battle 3 days later, he really didn't care about it. Now, with the improvement of his 4 seasons sword technique, a first heaven honorable realm martial artist was no match for him. If he used his full strength, he could also fight against a second heaven honorable realm martial artist. Therefore, Lin Xian was very indifferent. He continued comprehending the 4 seasons sword technique, while cultivating the longevity art. 3 days passed quickly. On this day, Lin Xian came out of seclusion and headed towards the intermediate Spirit Gathering Tower. Along the way, many people pointed at him, and some even laughed lightly. Lin Xian sneered in his heart. There was no need to explain now. In the near future, the results would naturally slap them in the face. When he arrived at the Spirit Gathering Tower, he rolled his eyes. There were even more people here to watch the show, 5 times more than usual. It seemed that the news had already spread. At this moment, there were 8 new students standing in front of the passage, their bodies trembling slightly. On the other side was a group of martial artists in black. Each of them had a ferocious look on their faces, and their bodies emitted a terrifying aura. They looked at the 8 freshmen in front of them with mocking expressions. "Rookies, you actually dare to accept the challenge. You're really fucking stupid. Wait a moment, it'll teach you how to behave properly." The members of the Greedy Wolf Gang laughed wildly. The surrounding martial artists were also discussing animatedly. Many of the freshmen sneered. "Idiots, they really came to accept the challenge. Are these people stupid? It's all that Lin Xian's fault. He just had to provoke us. It's over now. I think that Lin guy was just talking nonsense. Didn't you see that he hasn't shown up yet? That's right. He's the coward." Those who spoke sarcastically were the ones who were bullied by the Greedy Wolf Gang, but did not dare to accept the challenge. When Lin Xian heard these discussions, he sneered coldly. People like this would forever be lowly weaklings. However, the 8 people in the square surprised him. Although they were trembling, they did not take a step back. "Not bad. Although you're a little weak, your courage is commendable. You're a talent that can be molded." Lin Xian was satisfied. You small fries. Where's that Lin Xian? Get him out here. Weren't you very arrogant before? Why don't you dare to come out now? Trash. Such a person dares to provoke the greedy wolf gang? I think he doesn't know how to spell the word death. I think you're the ones who don't know how to spell the word death. A cold voice rang out, clearly entering everyone's ears. Everyone's expression changed when they heard that voice. Everyone's expression was different. Most of the onlookers were surprised. They did not expect Lin Xian to really come. However, most of them were not optimistic about Lin Xian's chances. The 8 freshmen in the square heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian did not lie to them. He really came. They had mustered up a lot of courage to stand there. They did not want to be bullied for the rest of their lives. Just now they were under a lot of pressure. It was something they had never experienced in their lives. The members of the greedy wolf gang opposite them were all extremely powerful. The murderous aura on their bodies was shocking. They were all bloodthirsty. Facing such a group of people, they were on the verge of collapse. Fortunately, Lin Xian appeared. The faces of the members of the greedy wolf gang darkened. Their eyes were cold as they stared ahead. "You're that arrogant Lin Xian?" One of the young men stood out and asked sternly. He was the leader this time. His name was Liemo. His strength was at the peak of first-level Venerable Realm. Coupled with his rich combat experience and powerful treasured weapon, he could be said to be very powerful. He could even compete with the second-level Venerable Realm. Sending such a powerful martial artist to intimidate the crowd was enough to show the greedy wolf gang's anger. They must punish Lin Xian severely this time. Intimidate everyone. Arrogant. Compared to the greedy wolf gang, I'm afraid this is nothing. Lin Xian sneered. Brother Emo, it's him. The short-haired young man beside him gritted his teeth and said. He had become the laughing stock of the academy after being beaten away by Lin Xian. This time, he must save his face. Kid, I've said it before. You're dead for offending the greedy wolf gang. You and all of you are finished. The short-haired young man pointed at Lin Xian and the 8 people in the hall. He was extremely arrogant. Kid, we're both students. I don't want to make things difficult for you. If you're willing to kneel down and kowtow 100 times and become the slaves of the greedy wolf gang, I'll spare you this time. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Limo's voice became cold. Did you hear that? Kneel down and kowtow, and call us grandpa. The short-haired young man was extremely arrogant. He strode out and pointed at the 8 people in the hall, with a sinister smile. The 8 people were furious, and their eyes were red. They would rather be killed than humiliated. Bang! At this moment, a figure appeared in front of them. Then, a powerful spiritual force exploded and kicked the short-haired young man away. Boom! The short-haired young man crashed into the wall like a meteor. The entire spiritual tower shook nonstop. That kick was too powerful. At least 5 or 6 of his ribs were broken. Lin Xian, it's Lin Xian. He actually attacked. The crowd was in an uproar. This was too crazy. He really attacked the greedy wolf gang. The 8 people in the hall were also stunned. They felt the blood in their bodies boiling. There was so much nonsense. Now it was quiet. Lin Xian said with his hands behind his back. Kid, you dare to attack? You're courting death. Liemo was furious. Go. As long as he doesn't die, you can beat him however you want. Chapter 731. Lin Xian suddenly attacked and injured the short-haired youth again, causing a commotion. Of course, the people from the greedy wolf gang were the angriest. Following Limo's order, the 10 members of the greedy wolf gang behind him quickly rushed out. Each of them was as powerful as a primordial wolf. This time, the greedy wolf gang sent out a total of 12 people, with Liemo as the leader. The short-haired youth was sent flying by Lin Xian's kick, and had lost his ability to fight, so there were only 10 people left. However, in everyone's opinion, these 10 people were enough. One had to know that these 10 people were seniors. It would be easy for them to deal with a group of freshmen. Moreover, putting everything else aside, the greedy wolf gang had obtained a huge advantage in terms of numbers. Looking at the members of the greedy wolf gang who were rushing over, the 8 people present held their breaths. They knew that the result of this battle would be tragic, but they would not back down. Can you deal with the 5 of you? Lin Xian suddenly said. 5. Everyone was stunned, not understanding what he meant. However, The 8 people reacted and kept nodding. 8 people against 5 people. Even if they could not defeat them, they could hold them back. But what about the rest? Is Lin Xian going to fight them all alone? The 8 people did not dare to imagine. However, they did not have time to think, because Lin Xian had already made his move. He waved his palm, and the fierce wind from his palm split the 10 people, who were rushing over into 2 groups. There were 5 people in each group. When the 8 people saw that, they moved and ran toward the 5 people closest to them. Their eyes shone with excitement as they used all their strength to stop the 5 people. Lin Xian, on the other hand, stopped the other 5. What? 1 against 5? Did he want to die? When everyone saw this scene, they immediately exclaimed, what an idiot! Trying to be a hero at this time. The people from the Tao Spirit Association sneered. The challenge this time alarmed many people. The Tao Spirit Association, Morong Qingqing, Shin Yaotian, and the others all came. When the 5 people from the Greedy Wolf Gang saw this scene, they laughed ferociously. Kid, was your head kicked by a donkey? How dare you attack the 5 of us? Cripple him and make him suffer a fate worse than death. The 5 people laughed ferociously and quickly attacked. Just the 5 of you are not worthy of me making a move. Lin Xian's voice was cold. Then, he slapped his storage pouch and summoned the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey. Yo-ho, this emperor is here. The dark red dragon shouted. Come, come, come. This emperor will teach you how to behave. The snow-white little monkey was also holding the whip of thunder and jumping for joy. Spirit beast, you can even talk. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a magical spirit beast. But even so, it was impossible to stop the 5 of them. But in the next moment they were stunned. The dark red divine dragon waved its claws and set up a formation that enveloped the 5 of them. Suddenly, countless wind blades, lightning bolts, and fireballs flew over with terrifying momentum. That power was enough to threaten a venerable one. The 5 of them were shocked and hurriedly resisted. Little guy, you don't have to do anything. Let me do it. The dark red dragon howled. It had been holding back for too long and urgently needed to vent. Wuji the snow-white monkey was dissatisfied and jumped onto Lin Xian's shoulder. Seeing that the 10 people he sent out were all trapped and unable to do anything, Li Mo's expression was very ugly. He stared at Lin Xian and decided to make a move. A powerful aura burst forth and swept in all directions. Li Mo's cultivation had reached the peak of first-level venerable. He was very powerful, and his attack caused everyone to exclaim in surprise. Die brat! Li Mo clenched his fist and condensed a long flaming saber. He slashed it down. The flames burned fiercely, and the terrifying heat wave distorted the void. So terrifying. Lin Xian probably won't be able to take it. He's dead for sure. Many people sneered. However, in the next moment, the snow-white monkey's figure flashed and instantly appeared beside Li Mo. It slapped down. Buzz! Li Mo's head was dizzy, and he was stunned on the spot. The flaming saber in his hand was quickly extinguished. Whoosh! Lin Xian took a step forward. Martial path sword chi appeared on his 5 fingers. It was incomparably soft like willow ribbons. In an instant it wrapped around Li Mo. The martial path sword chi seemed soft, but it contained the power of the dragon sword soul, so it was incomparably spiritual. Crack, crack, crack. The armor on Li Mo's body shattered, and the 5 sword chi left terrifying sword wounds on his body. Blood spread wildly and instantly dyed his body red. Li Mo struggled frantically, trying to release his martial soul. However, the moment he activated the spiritual power in his body, the 5 sword chi became even tighter and pierced into his muscles. If you dare to move again, I guarantee that your body will definitely be split into 5 pieces. Lin Xian sneered. Hearing this, Li Mo's body trembled, and he didn't dare to move. He was very sullen. He didn't even have time to release his martial soul before he was knocked unconscious and ended up in this state. At the same time, he was extremely frightened because Lin Xian was too strange. He subdued all of them in an instant. Everyone stop! Li Mo roared. His voice was like thunder. Immediately, everyone stopped and retreated to the sides. The 8 freshmen were shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian to win. The surrounding martial artists were even more shocked. It was too shocking. Lin Xian defeated the greedy Wolfgang's team by himself. At this moment, screams came from the dark red dragon's array. It was so miserable that it made everyone's hair stand on end. The members of the greedy wolf gang changed their expressions and looked at Lin Xian in horror. Not only did a freshman subdue them, but he also defeated their team leader in one move. Such means were terrifying. "Stop, we admit defeat." Hearing the screams, Liemo roared crazily. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the dark red dragon immediately stopped. It removed the array, revealing the 5 miserable members of the greedy wolf gang. "This time we admit defeat." Liemo gritted his teeth and said. However, he had no choice but to lower his head in the current situation. Hearing this, everyone was shocked and speechless for a long time. The ferocious greedy wolf gang was defeated by a freshman. It was too shocking, especially the people from the Tao Spirit Association. They all stared with their eyes wide open, unable to believe the scene in front of them. Is this guy really a freshman? Many people's hearts trembled. Morong Qingqing was also surprised. She knew that Lin Xian would win, but she didn't expect him to win so easily. 2 mystical spirit beasts. How many secrets does this guy have? Admit defeat? That's it. Lin Xian sneered when he heard Liemo's words. What do you want? Liemo gritted his teeth and said. You're a captive now. Watch your attitude. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Immediately, the 5-sword chi on Liemo's body became even sharper, piercing Liemo until he screamed again. What do you want? Liemo said weakly. He didn't have any temper this time. How many spiritual value points were robbed? Lin Xian turned around and asked. 1,700 500. The 8 of them answered excitedly. They knew that Lin Xian was standing up for them. Chapter 732. The spiritual value points that were stolen from them will be returned double. Lin Xian's words echoed in the passageway, causing the 8 people behind him to be extremely excited. Domineering, too domineering. He had vented his hatred. Originally, they had thought that they would never be able to take revenge in this lifetime, after being robbed of their spiritual value points by the greedy wolf gang. Who would have thought that in just 3 days, they would be able to trample their enemies under their feet? Furthermore, they had obtained double the spiritual value points. All of this was thanks to Lin Xian. Brother Xian, I'll follow you for the rest of my life. Yes, Brother Xian, take us in. The 8 of them were excited and their bodies trembled. All right, the 8 of you will be my brothers from now on. Lin Xian was also filled with pride. He wanted to establish an organization that belonged to him within the Immortal Martial Academy, the Dragon Sword Pavilion. Now, go and collect your spiritual value points. Yes, sir. The 8 of them roared excitedly. Just like before, they did not dare to make a move. But now it was different. With Lin Xian, even if they were to face the ferocious greedy wolf gang, they would still dare to fight. Very quickly, they retrieved double the spiritual value points from the 12 members of the greedy wolf gang. As for Lin Xian, he took away their storage rings. During this period of time, there was a member of the greedy wolf gang who wanted to resist. In the end, when Lin Xian's sword spirit pierced into his body, no one dared to resist. Lin Xian did not feel uncomfortable doing this. This was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. If he was the one who failed today, he believed that his outcome would be even worse. Not only would he lose everything, but he would also lose face. Therefore, if he was not ruthless, the enemy would be ruthless to him. The surrounding people were shocked. Lin Xian was the first person who dared to bully the greedy wolf gang like this. Especially those new students, they were all dumbstruck. They were so regretful that their intestines turned green. Previously, they were the same as the other 8. They had all been bullied by the greedy wolf gang. However, they did not have the courage to face it. They could only make sarcastic remarks in the crowd. But now Lin Xian had really done it. Not only did he defeat the team sent by the greedy wolf gang, he had also avenged the 8 people. Double spiritual value points. Many people were envious. At that moment, a few thick-skinned people quickly stood out and shouted at Lin Xian, "Brother Xian, accept me." As soon as these words were spoken, many new students immediately stood up and looked at Lin Xian with eager eyes. Seeing those people's flattering performance, the 8 people beside him also showed disdain. Why didn't they come out when they were facing greed? Now that Lin Xian had won, they wanted to join. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Seeing these people jump out, Lin Xian sneered in his heart. He knew that these people had mocked him in the crowd before. Looking around, Lin Xian said in a clear voice, "You want to join? Sure, do you see the greedy wolves? Go beat them up and you can join." What? Beat them up? Everyone was stunned, and their minds went blank. Those people were from the Greedy Wolf Association. Although they lost to Lin Xian this time, it didn't mean that they could be bullied. Especially those new students who jumped out. They were so regretful that their intestines turned green. Fuck. Why am I so cheap jumping out at this time? Many people felt bitter in their hearts. They didn't dare to hit the Greedy Wolf Association's people. However, if they retreated at this time, it would mean that they were greedy for life and afraid of death, opportunistic villains. At that time, they would become the target of everyone's contempt. Therefore, for a moment they were in a dilemma. Cowardly rats, I knew you wouldn't dare." The 8 disciples sneered. Hearing this, the faces of the cultivators who stood out turned red, and they slipped into the crowd dejectedly. Of course, there were also a few who weren't afraid of death, and really went up to kick the people from the Greedy Wolf Association. "Fuck kid, you're dead meat." Li Mo and the others roared crazily. "Brother, from today onwards we are brothers." Lin Xian said to the 3 of them, "Brother Xian, we are the 3 Hao brothers." The eldest of the 3 said, "Brother Xian, what is the name of our organization?" "Dragon Sword Pavilion." Following that, Lin Xian said in a clear voice, "I, Lin Xian, will establish the Dragon Sword Pavilion today. I welcome all the outstanding and brave students to join." Hearing this, the freshmen who had just joined cheered while the others rolled their eyes. What a joke! At this juncture, who would dare to join? Lin Xian had beaten up the Greedy Wolf Association today. The other party would definitely retaliate. So no one dared to join at this time. What Dragon Sword Pavilion? Just watch, it won't be long before it disintegrates. The people from the Tao Spirit Association sneered. Yin Qingyang's face was also gloomy. The current situation made him very unhappy. Humph. He snorted and left with the people from the Tao Spirit Association. Morong Qingqing was slightly stunned. She didn't expect that Lin Xian would establish his own organization, which surprised her. Originally, she wanted to establish an organization in the academy and pull Lin Xian in, but now it seemed impossible. I won't admit defeat. Morong Qingqing snorted. Since she couldn't pull Lin Xian in, then she would join. Me too, I want to join too, Morong Qingqing said. Following that, she quickly walked to Lin Xian's side. What? Morong Qingqing wants to join too? Everyone was stunned. Then their eyes burned with passion. However, at this juncture, they definitely wouldn't join. They could only wait for an opportunity in the future. When the three Hao brothers saw Morong Qingqing, they also exclaimed, Brother Xian is amazing. He managed to rope in a beauty so quickly. Why are you joining in the fun? Lin Xian was helpless. Why can't I join? Morong Qingqing snorted. Then she walked in front of Li Mo and casually kicked him twice. How is it? I'm qualified, right? Hearing that, Li Mo wanted to cry but had no tears. He even had the heart to die. Lin Xian was helpless and could only agree. He then released the members of the Ravenous Wolf Gang. Scram, don't let me see you again. Let's go. Li Mo stood up and quickly left with a group of underlings. However, he secretly swore in his heart that he would definitely take revenge for this. Alright, let's find a place to hold the meeting. Lin Xian opened a cultivation room on the first floor and let everyone in. This time, things went smoothly. Not only did he teach the Ravenous Wolf Gang a lesson, he also recruited many students. His Dragon Sword Pavilion finally settled down in the Immortal Martial Academy. Among these 11 new students, 6 of them were at the first layer of the Honorable Realm, while the other 5 were half-step Honorable Realm. In the outside world, they could be considered as geniuses, but in the Immortal Martial Academy, they were very ordinary, because there were too many monsters here, and any one of them was at the first layer of the Honorable Realm. However, Lin Xian didn't look down on them. Being able to enter the Immortal Martial Academy was enough to prove that they were extraordinary. Moreover, these people's aptitudes weren't bad. They could be considered geniuses, but in terms of resources, they couldn't compare to those monsters. Lin Xian believed that when these people grew up, they would definitely be a powerful force. The 3 Hao brothers, Hao De, Hao Air, and Hao San, all 3 of them had reached the first layer of the Honorable Realm. Their strength was not bad. As for the other 8, 3 of them had reached the first layer of the Honorable Realm. They were Song Ming, Liang Wei, and Wang Li. Lin Xian gave them some pills and let them accept missions to earn spiritual value points and raise their cultivation. Chapter 733. Boss, why are you collecting these elixirs? Song Ming was puzzled. It can't be alchemy, right? Liang Wei guessed. Correct. Lin Xian laughed. But we don't have an inscription master. Everyone scratched their heads. Don't worry, you'll do it. Lin Xian said. Your boss is an all-rounder. Hearing this, everyone's eyes widened, and they became extremely excited. Even Morong Qingqing was surprised. She never knew that Lin Xian knew how to refine pills. This guy is too mysterious. Morong Qingqing gritted her teeth. All right, you guys go and take action. I also want to break through to the Venerable Realm as soon as possible. Boss, it's impossible to break through in a short period of time, using the Spirit Gathering Array. Wang Li said. I know 2 ways that can help you break through in a short period of time. Oh, which 2? Lin Xian asked. The first is the Little Spirit Pill. It can allow warriors below the Venerable Realm to directly increase their cultivation by 1 level. The second is the Blazing Mountain. It contains terrifying spirit energy and can definitely allow warriors to break through in a short period of time. However, that place is extremely dangerous. If boss wants to go, you must be well prepared. Little Spirit Pill Blazing Mountain, Lin Xian whispered. Then, he took out the spirit tablet and found the introduction of the Little Spirit Pill. 20,000 spiritual value points. Lin Xian frowned. It was really expensive. However, this method was feasible. He pondered in his heart. He was currently at the peak of the spirit detecting realm. Using the Little Spirit Pill, he could directly reach the half-step Venerable Realm. Then he would head to the Blazing Mountain to cultivate and break through to the Venerable Realm in one go. This was definitely the fastest way to break through at the moment. Alright, let's do it. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Oh, go break through. You guys should also hurry up and raise your cultivation. Following that, everyone left the Spirit Gathering Tower. 20,000 spiritual value points. How did you get them? Morong Qingqing asked. Do you want me to lend you some? Forget it. Since I owe you a debt, it won't be easy to refuse your request in the future. Lin Xian shook his head. You don't know how to appreciate kindness. Forget it if you don't want it. Morong Qingqing snorted. I want to see how you will obtain 20,000 spiritual value points. 20,000 spiritual value points was not a small amount for the current freshmen. Even if they were to do missions, they would have to do at least a dozen of them. This didn't include the time-consuming things such as the journey. So according to conventional methods, it was impossible to complete it in a short period of time. What Lin Xian lacked the most right now was time. Can I complete it in one go? Lin Xian pondered. Then, he walked towards the mission hall to see if there were any high-difficulty missions. Lin Xian skipped past the ordinary missions and the special missions on the black mission crystal that was 300 meters tall. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows as he discovered something. Operation Beheading. The Hunyuan Hand Tu Tian has committed many evil deeds and killed countless innocent people. Now a kill order has been issued. Whoever obtains Tu Tian's head will be rewarded with 27,000 spiritual value points. So hi. Lin Xian's interest was piqued, but when he saw the message below, he frowned. Below the mission, there were 3 golden stars. Behind them was an introduction. Lin Xian discovered that this Hunyuan Hand Tu Tian was actually a 2nd-level venerable. Furthermore, he had a top-grade spirit artifact in his hand. It could be said that he was extremely powerful. After pondering for a long time, Lin Xian decided to accept the mission. What? You want to accept the beheading operation? The deacon of the mission hall was stunned. He stared at Lin Xian intently without stopping. No matter how he looked at it, the other party did not have a powerful cultivation and was a freshman. That's a 3-star mission. Have you read the information on it? Yes, Lin Xian said. The difficulty of a 3-star mission is very high. Furthermore, the Hunyuan Hand is extremely ferocious. He has killed more than 1 disciple of the academy. Even so, you still want to accept it. Accept, Lin Xian said firmly. Since you insist, fine. The deacon sighed, but he still let Lin Xian accept the mission. The surrounding students were discussing in low voices. Many of them were mocking and ridiculing him. This guy, has he gone crazy from thinking about spiritual value points? That's right, the Hunyuan hand is a second-level venerable. I'm afraid that only those experts on the mysterious venerable board can deal with him. That guy obviously hasn't entered the mysterious venerable board, yet he dares to accept it. Isn't that arrogant freshman? I heard that he hasn't even reached the venerable realm. What? Everyone was shocked and then sneered. He's definitely dead. The Hunyuan hand was in Lion Moon City, which was not far from Heavenly Pool City. There were 5 cities around Heavenly Pool City, and Lion Moon City was one of them. Lin Xian sped all the way to Lion Moon City. However, he did not enter directly. Instead, he stopped in the forest outside the city. Then, he summoned the dark red divine dragon, and the two of them began to discuss countermeasures. The reason why Lin Xian dared to accept this mission was because the dark red divine dragon had mastered many formations. With his strength and the power of the formation, he should be able to kill the Hunyuan hand. However, this formation needed to be properly set up. Boy, I have a killing formation called the 10-direction remnant light formation. If I can set it up, I'll definitely be able to kill that Hunyuan hand. The dark red divine dragon patted its chest and said, "Are you sure?" Lin Xian stared at the dark red divine dragon and asked. This ruffian dragon was often unreliable, so he had to ask clearly. "Damn boy, what do you mean? How dare you doubt me?" The dark red divine dragon was unhappy. "Just you wait. When I set up the 10-direction remnant light formation, it'll definitely scare you to death." However, this formation's level is quite high, and it requires a large amount of materials to set it up. Take whatever you want. Lin Xian threw out his storage ring. Then, the dark red divine dragon took out a large pile of medium spiritual stones and many strange materials from the storage ring. Fortunately, Lin Xian was rich and had all kinds of strange materials. Otherwise, if it was someone else, they would not be able to set it up. Next, the dark red divine dragon began to set up the formation carefully. This formation was very complicated and needed to be inscribed with formation patterns. Moreover, every formation pattern was extremely complicated and profound, so there could not be the slightest mistake. Even with Lin Xian's knowledge and cultivation, he still felt dizzy when he saw those inscription patterns. One day later, the dark red divine dragon finally finished setting up the 10-direction remnant light formation. Boy, you don't believe me, right? Do you want to come and have a look? The dark red divine dragon said provocatively. Okay, I'll take the opportunity to see the power of this formation. Lin Xian walked over. As soon as he entered the formation, the dark red divine dragon laughed sinisterly and quickly activated the formation. In the next moment, an extremely fierce murderous aura appeared in the surroundings. Streaks of terrifying sword chi crisscrossed and slashed toward Lin Xian. At that moment, Lin Xian's hair stood on end. The power of wind and thunder surged behind him, and the wind and thunder wings appeared. He moved quickly and left behind an afterimage. This formation is so terrifying. Lin Xian came out of the formation with lingering fear in his heart. Although he had only been there for a moment, the terrifying power made him fearful. The sword chi formed by the formation was not weaker than his sword chi at all. It could definitely threaten a second-level supremacy. This is nothing, the dark red divine dragon said proudly. Boy, let me tell you, this is only the simplified version of the 10-direction remnant light formation. Once the real 10-direction remnant light formation is used, it can definitely destroy all 10 directions. It's more than enough to deal with that mixed yuan hand. Okay, I'll lure him into the formation. You control the formation, and we'll attack together. Lin Xian said. Then, the dark red divine dragon set up an illusion formation to hide the 10-direction remnant light formation. Chapter 734. Wang Shi was a disciple of the Wang family. He got out of bed early in the morning and went to the martial arts field to practice. Not long ago, he had obtained the heart of the blood flame rat in the forest. After returning, he stimulated his bloodline and broke through to the half-step honorable realm. As long as he worked hard, he believed that he would soon reach the true honorable realm. I must be like my benefactor and become a powerful martial artist. A figure appeared in Wang Shi's mind. It was a young man about 18 or 19 years old. He wore a blue shirt and held a golden bow in his hand. He looked like a god of war. It was that figure who had easily killed several blood flame rats. Not only did he save their lives, but he also gave them the hearts of the blood flame rats. It was because of those hearts that the Wang family was able to create several half-step honorables this time. I must become strong and protect the family. I can't let the Blood Yuan gang bully the family. Clang! 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 Suddenly, a series of urgent bell chimes rang out. Oh no, it's the bell of war. The family is in danger. Is the Blood Yuan gang here? Wang Shi's expression changed, and he quickly rushed to the central square. Not only him, but countless disciples of the Wang family also gathered quickly. Uncle Wang, what's the matter? Wang Shi asked anxiously. The Blood Yuan gang is here. They want us to hand over the elixir pavilion. What? Damn the Blood Yuan gang. They're attacking our family's important business. Wang Shi's small face was cold. The nearby disciples of the Wang family were furious. The Wang family was good at alchemy. It turned out that they were a big family in Lion Moon City. However, since the Blood Yuan gang came, the Wang family was targeted and suppressed everywhere. Now the Blood Yuan gang wanted to swallow the Wang family's property. They tried their best to resist, but many of their elders were killed. They couldn't resist at all, because the Blood Yuan gang had a powerful and cruel leader, Mixed Yuan Han Tu Tian. Not only had his cultivation reached the second level of the honorable realm, but he also had a top-grade spiritual treasure in his hand. He was very powerful. Humph! Even if we die, we can't hand our family over to the Blood Yuan gang. Everyone was furious. Ha ha ha, Wang family, what do you think? Suddenly, a burst of wild laughter came from the sky, rolling over like thunder. Then a figure appeared in the sky. It was a large man with a tall and sturdy figure. He had a full beard and a vicious glint in his eyes. He was like an ancient ferocious beast, staring cruelly at the people of the Wang family below. Behind him were more than a dozen first-rank supremacies, who were looking down with mocking expressions. Countless members of the Blood Yuan gang appeared and surrounded the Wang family. Old man Wang, have you made up your mind? I don't have much patience. Mixed Yuan Han Tu Tian said coldly. My Wang clan's foundation will never be given to you. Just give up. A white-haired old man appeared. He was the patriarch of the Wang clan. Stubborn. Seeing the other party's resistance, Heaven Slaughter's face immediately sank. Old man, I saw that your Wang clan has some alchemy skills, so I didn't kill you. Do you really think I'm so benevolent? Now I'll give you a chance. Either you surrender to me and become a subordinate of the Blood Yuan gang. Either all of you die, and the entire Wang family will disappear from Lion Moon City. You better think it through. Heaven Slaughter's eyes shone fiercely, and his body emitted a shocking murderous aura. Old man, you better think it through. Thousands of lives of the Wang clan are in your hands. Make your choice quickly, or your Wang clan will be annihilated. The experts of the Blood Yuan gang threatened coldly. You've gone too far. Do you really think my Wang clan is easy to bully? Below, the people of the Wang clan were furious. The patriarch of the Wang clan was also furious. His robe fluttered, and he rushed into the sky like a meteor. You've gone too far. I'll fight it out with you. The patriarch of the Wang clan quickly rushed out and attacked Heaven Slaughtering. You're overestimating yourself. Mixed Yuan Han Tu Tian gave a cold snort and quickly swung his fist to meet the attack. Terrifying energy exploded like a demonic cloud, spreading in all directions. The patriarch of the Wang clan and Heaven Slaughtering were fighting. Bang bang. However, not long after, a low sound was heard. The patriarch of the Wang clan flew out and smashed the pavilion below. A terrifying deep pit was formed on the ground. Patriarch. The people of the Wang clan were terrified and rushed over. The patriarch of the Wang clan struggled to get up from the ruins. He was covered in blood, his face was pale, and there was a terrifying palm print on his chest. It almost pierced through him. You don't know what's good for you. You want to fight with me with your strength? Heaven Slaughtering sneered. Do you believe that I'll annihilate the Wang clan now? Hearing that, the patriarch of the Wang clan trembled, and then spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. You I'll fight it out with you. A middle-aged martial artist couldn't help but rush up quickly. Hee hee. There are really people who aren't afraid of death. In the sky, a burly man with a long saber stood out. Then he waved his long saber. The saber radiance was like a rainbow and instantly cut the middle-aged martial artist in half. The corpse fell and blood splattered all over the ground. The horrifying and bloody scene stimulated the people of the Wang clan. No! The people of the Wang clan screamed. Many young disciples cried while the middle-aged martial artists and elders clenched their fists tightly and glared. They couldn't accept it. They couldn't accept it. At this moment they were full of regret. If they had strong strength, the other party wouldn't have dared to provoke them. Moreover, as an alchemy family, they had made friends with many forces. But now no one came to help them. This made them feel cold. Does God want my Wang clan to die? The elders shouted to the sky. If there's no other way, we can only agree to join the Blood Yuan gang. Otherwise, I'm afraid our Wang clan will be destroyed. Another elder sighed. No, we can't join the Blood Yuan gang. The patriarch of the Wang clan gasped. The Blood Yuan gang is cruel and greedy. Do you think we will have a good end if we join them? At that time, we will become their slaves. That will be a real life worse than death. Everyone listen. Cover the escape of the young disciples, and take away the pill recipe and pill veins. We can't let these things fall into the hands of the Blood Yuan gang. Old man, since you're courting death, then there's no need for the Wang clan to exist. Heaven Slaughter's face was ferocious. After talking for a long time, the other party was still stubborn and wanted to fight to the death. He was disdainful because the other party was not qualified to fight with him. Kill, leave no one alive. Heaven Slaughtering waved his hand. Suddenly, 10 first-level venerables in the sky moved out. Countless members of the Blood Yuan gang rushed over. These people were like fierce beasts and hungry wolves, quickly pouncing on the people of the Wang clan. Cover the young disciples, run. The elders of the Wang clan rushed to the sky. They must break out of the encirclement. Run. Puff. Puff. In an instant, countless terrifying attacks fell. The disciples of the Wang clan were killed. Blood and corpses splattered, and all kinds of screams and cries were heard. This scene had alarmed the entire Lion Moon City, but no one came to help. Chapter 735. You dare to resist? This will be your fate. A venerable with a long saber blocked the escape route, and looked at Wang Shi and the others with a grim smile. Go quickly. I'll stop him. A middle-aged warrior shouted and rushed out quickly. Humph, you're courting death. He waved his long saber, and beheaded the middle-aged warrior. Uncle Wang! Wang Shi's eyes instantly turned red, and he let out a shocking roar. Ah! I'm going to kill you. Wang Shi's heart was burning with anger. He rushed up quickly. Haha, little brat, watch how I kill you. The venerable grinned. No, Shi'er, go quickly. The elders of the Wang family shouted. Wang Shi was an outstanding disciple of their family, and the hope of the family's future. However, this hope was about to be killed here. The Wang family was desperate. They were furious, but they did not have the power to change anything. They could only watch the tragedy unfold. However, at the next moment, before the long saber fell, a golden arrow pierced through the venerable's head and nailed his body to the ground. A golden arrow fell from the sky like a golden thunder. It instantly pierced through the head of the venerable and nailed him to the ground. This turn of events shocked everyone in the prince's mansion. The two sides who were fighting stopped and retreated. The Wang family was puzzled, while the Blood Yuan gang was gloomy. The ordinary gang members were even more shocked as they looked around cautiously. Who dares to kill the elder of the Blood Yuan gang? Come out! Tu Tian roared. His body trembled with murderous intent, and covered 100 miles. Buzz! The void fluctuated, and a young figure stepped out. This young man was about 18 or 19 years old. He was dressed in blue, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He was like a god of war. He held a golden bow in his hand that emitted light. Benefactor, it's Benefactor. Wang Shi was excited. He saw the figure in the sky and had the urge to cry. Benefactor. The Wang family was shocked when they heard it. Then a ray of hope rose in their hearts. Was this young man here to help them? The Blood Yuan gang was filled with murderous intent and stared at Lin Xian unkindly. Kid, who are you? That's right. The blue-clothed youth in the sky was Lin Xian. After he arrived at the Lion Moon City, he went straight to the Blood Yuan gang's lair, but he did not find the primeval chaos hand Tu Tian. After asking around, he found out that the other party was going to attack the Wang family today. That was why he hurried over. However, he did not expect to meet the young man he had seen in the forest in the Wang family. Seeing that his opponent was in danger, Lin Xian immediately fired an arrow, saving his opponent's life. Looking around, Lin Xian coldly shouted, "Which one of you is the heaven-slaughtering hand?" "I am." Tu Tian stood out and shouted sternly, "Brat, what business do you have with me? Take your head." Lin Xian's gaze was as sharp as a sword as he stared at the burly man in front of him. "Ha ha ha ha." Tu Tian threw his head back and laughed, his voice shaking the heavens. The elders and members of the Blood Yuan gang also sneered in disdain. Although Lin Xian was very strong and killed an elder with one arrow, it was impossible for him to kill their leader. Not to mention a brat. Even a second-level venerable would not be able to kill him, unless it was an even more powerful third-level venerable. However, that kind of expert would not appear in the Lion Moon City. "Want to kill me?" Tu Tian sneered in disdain. "Brat, do you know who you are talking to? Do you believe that I will give the order to chop you into minced meat?" "Boss, let me kill him. He killed old Dao. I want to kill him to avenge old Dao." A skinny man walked out, holding a blood-red spear in his hand and emitting an astonishing murderous aura. "Well, let him know the consequences of provoking the Blood Yuan gang," Tu Tian said coldly. "Brat, I want to use your blood as a sacrifice to old Dao." The skinny middle-aged man's body erupted with a powerful spiritual power, and then he swung his spear and stabbed out quickly. Heaven and Earth Spear. The spear flashed and condensed into a quaint cauldron, which pressed down on Lin Xian. The wind whistled and the air cracked. The Heaven and Earth cauldron formed by the spear was like a demonic mountain with a terrifying momentum. In an instant, it fell mercilessly on Lin Xian. "Benefactor, be careful!" Wang Shi exclaimed. The Wang family members were also trembling, and they were extremely nervous. The people of the Blood Yuan gang sneered. In their opinion, Lin Xian would not be able to block the spear. Lin Xian looked at the Heaven and Earth cauldron and snorted. His right hand formed a seal, and the vermilion bird seal was quickly waved out. A vermilion bird hundreds of feet tall was born from the fire, and like a divine bird it flew into the sky. In an instant, the Heaven and Earth cauldron was blasted away. Then, Lin Xian held the golden bow in his hand, and a golden arrow appeared between his fingers. As his palm fell, the golden arrow flew out, accompanied by countless wind and thunder, like a golden dragon roaring in the void. Puff! The golden arrow instantly pierced the skinny middle-aged man, and then with a boom, it formed a terrifying sea of lightning and wrapped him up. "Sixth brother!" The elders of the Blood Yuan gang exclaimed, and quickly rushed forward. Everyone attacked together, and the terrifying energy split the violent sea of lightning. Then they saw a charred body falling from the sky quickly. The body was charred black, without a trace of vitality. Everyone was shocked, and their faces were full of horror. To be able to kill two elders with a single arrow, wasn't this strength a little too terrifying? The Wang family members were stunned. They did not expect the young man in the sky to be so powerful that he could kill the powerful enemies in their eyes with just a raise of his hand. "Kid, you killed two of my generals. I will definitely kill you." Tu Tian was completely angry. The elders behind him were the elite forces of the Blood Yuan gang, and losing one of them was a great loss. But now, Lin Xian killed two of his generals with just a raise of his hand. How could he not be angry? With a roar, Tu Tian slapped out his palm, and the terrifying palm shadow was thousands of meters wide, like a giant hand that covered the sky, clawing at Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his arm, and shot out golden arrows to fight against the terrifying palm. At the same time, he quickly retreated and fled into the distance. That palm was too terrifying. Dozens of golden arrows bombarded it, but they did not pierce it. From this point, it could be seen that Tu Tian's strength was definitely far beyond everyone. Want to leave? It's not that simple. Tu Tian shouted angrily. You guys continue to stay here. Don't let anyone from the Wang family go. Oh, go and kill that kid. As his voice fell, his figure had already disappeared. Like a flash of lightning, he quickly chased after Lin Xian. Seeing that Tu Tian was chasing after him, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. His purpose was to lure Tu Tian out of the city and into the 10-direction remnant light formation that he had already set up. Both of them were very fast, and it did not take long for them to arrive outside the city. Seeing that Lin Xian was only running and not fighting back, Tu Tian was suspicious. He suddenly stopped and cautiously observed his surroundings. The reason why he could live freely was not only because of his powerful and cruel means, but also because of his cautious character, which allowed him to avoid danger this time. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.